I don't want to film and direct things. I just do it because I need to make stuff. And I don't want to edit, but I have to. And I don't want to make music, but I have to. So she said, oh, this is my friend Nathan. He's a really big YouTuber. And I was like, wait, no, I'm not a YouTuber. That's just a website I put videos on.
It's frustrating to me to know that none of these things have gotten picked up. But how frustrating is that for you to go through this?
Mostly like pretty famous people will get put in the game and they'll get like a skin or whatever. That's the dream. If I'm popular enough where I'm in Fortnite, then I'm doing pretty well. I took the memory card and I put it between my butt cheeks to hide it. It wasn't very deep. But I just knew they would feel it when they were patting me down. I didn't want them to feel it in a pocket or check my socks.
Sometimes you just have to do the thing and then apologize later.
Exactly. My whole life is that.
Hey, welcome to the Create Unknown, the home of Make Something Mean Something. I am Kevin Lieber. We are live on Discord because it is TCU night. That is Wednesday night. It comes once a week, and you can always count on us to be here at 6 p.m. Eastern live on Discord with many, many, many beautiful patrons. $2 Tots, Dumpster Crew, Infantry, Baby Gang. They're in the chat. We have lurkers just listening for free who aren't patrons, but someday will be. And with me, as
someday
always, is Matthew Tabor.
They will ascend someday. It's really their fate. But you mentioned the Baby Gang and all that. We want to start by wishing a happy birthday to Jeff Davis, the original Baby Gang member. When we opened up the Baby Gang, it was, how many minutes was it before Jeff became a baby? It was minutes.
It was instant. It was an immaculate conception.
It was. We had a bunch of people who joined up very, very quickly, but Jeff just obliterated all of them with his speed. So happy birthday, Jeff. Now you have limited options for celebration in these difficult times, but we trust that you'll find something fun to do this week. Also want to say thanks to Electro Voice again for throwing us some very good microphones. It's why we sound so mature and adult. You know,
it's the only reason.
When you have amateurish, it's the only reason, yeah. If you have amateurish microphones, you sound like a child. If you have, professional microphones, all of a sudden you have this booming presence of an adult with authority. So thank you to Electro Voice for giving us that heft.
That's right.
But we do have a guest, and usually when you book a guest, you know exactly who's going to show up. Today it's a bit like rolling a 20-sided die. You're familiar with character comedians like Jim Carrey and Robin Williams, and those two legends were crafted in the image of the late, great Jonathan Winters. Our guest evokes the spirit of Winters, the original character comedian splattered on black and white TV sets on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And you may not have known it before now, but he's also your dad. Nathan Barnatt has been on YouTube for 15 years. He may be the guest that we've had who is the oldest on YouTube. His first upload was in 2006, in which he showed off his ability to flip inside a gymnasium. That was just the beginning of becoming the most recognizable YouTuber in terms of physical comedy. His original characters include the candy-obsessed Trale Lewous, whose Skittles commercial, actually Skittles commercial, landed him his very own Skittles vending machine direct from the company itself. Then there's gaming man-child Keith Apicary, who spent years talking classics and making appearances at conventions that celebrate nerddom. There's peg-legged self-defense guru Ray Amsley, and most recently the cult hit Dad, a character with his own dedicated channel filled with the wholesome and surreal inner monologues of a dad. We've got a lot to unpack when it comes to Dad. Nathan's got music, viral dancing videos, GTA Trevor, incredible slapstick physical comedy, short films Neutral and Milford, TV show pilots, the My Own Brothers podcast, and more. You get a lot in 15 years. Nathan can do and has done both anything and everything. So if Steven Spielberg writes you a blank check to produce one project and one project only. At this point, what is it?
Wow, what an intro. It's like, oh God, I've done too many things. Uh, actually, first of all, I'll answer that question about what I would make. But first, I need to say my first video was actually in 2005, the very first year, a few months after YouTube became like a site. I uploaded a cartoon on a different channel called Tetris Side, which is my friend's channel, and I would mail him discs from California to Massachusetts, and he uploaded them for me and to YouTube, because I didn't have a computer at home. I would go to the public library in Santa Monica, and then eventually I would go down to the library with my own CDs, and I would load my first videos to the current Nathan channel. That flipping video was on a CD loaded at the Santa Monica Public Library. I did that for many videos. My very first upload was a cartoon called Barricade, which I re-uploaded to I think my channel or another Nathan, like a random Nathan channel that no one really knows about. But it was a cartoon called Barricade that I animated every frame by hand with, and I'd made a few episodes of that. But yeah, 2005, I was there day one on YouTube. So yeah, there it is. So that's not the original upload. It was on Tetris Side, but still, someone just posted in the chat the cartoon. I drew that like every frame, and I did all the voices and sound effects and stuff. But anyway, do
you remember how you found out about YouTube? And this is for Kevin too, because I actually don't think I've ever asked Kevin, like, how did you find out that YouTube existed?
My friend Paul told me about it. Paul Cummings, who's a director, he directed my Adult Swim pilot for Keith's Adult Swim pilot called Youth Large. He's from Massachusetts. Me and my brother Seth and Paul have made tons of stuff together over the years, and now we're doing sort of our own thing. But we've always done our own things, but we've done a lot together over the years, and Paul was the first one that told me. I moved to California, then he moved a few years later, and he's like, oh, you should check out YouTube, because I was loading videos to Atom Films. I think it was ATOMS. I had loaded some stuff there, and then I don't know if I ever loaded to E-Bombs World, but I was always looking at E-Bombs World, and then YouTube came out, and I was like, oh, this is a perfect place to put all these videos I have on DVDs and VHSs. So I started putting up videos from that I'd already had on discs. But to answer that question about if Steven Spielberg gave me money, I'd probably at this point right now, I'd either finish Neutral, which is a short film I made. It's 22 minutes. It got into some festivals and stuff, and there's 2 other chapters. So like a movie has 3 acts. I should say acts. There's 2 more acts to the film, which will make it a complete hour-and-a-half movie. So Neutral, that's just the beginning, what we saw on YouTube. I love Neutral. I think it's like it really summarizes me and everything I do, possibly. It doesn't really capture any of the cryptic stuff, which is sort of in Dad. There is a little sci-fi in this movie, or magic, I guess. But I would either finish that. I wouldn't even need that much. At blank check, I'd only need maybe $200,000. Or I would make this movie I wrote called Las Vegas, LOSS Vegas. And it's about these 2 brothers. One of them is really down and out, and he finds a box. I won't give away what it is, but he finds this box, and he needs to drive it to Las Vegas with his brother, who has a car. So my character is like a loser. His brother is another type of loser. He's got a car, though, and they need to get this box to Las Vegas ASAP. And then these 2 other guys who are chasing them. And the way I sort of pitch this is like it's Raising Arizona meets what's the movie? Darjeeling Limited, where my character is sort of like Owen Wilson in Darjeeling Limited, and he doesn't stop running his mouth. He thinks he knows everything. He's always got this big plan, this big scheme, and these 2 guys that are chasing him are kind of like real nasty guys, kind of like the bounty hunter in Raising Arizona. So, and it takes place just on that drive. The whole movie is just driving on the road, and it's sort of inspired by Duel, which was Steven Spielberg's very first movie, coincidentally, about a truck chasing a car, which also influenced this film, Neutral, that I made, that someone posted in the chat. Thank you very much, Tom. Anyways, that's my long answer.
Well, that's good. Like that's a real, like full on dissection of what you would do with that blank check. I was expecting, like, oh, I do, this thing, and you get 2 sentences about it. I mean, I think we've asked some people,
I can talk
like, what's your dream big project? But it's so well developed, though. I mean, you have it waiting there. Like, how long have you had this in mind?
Las Vegas, I wrote a few years ago. I'm actually kind of cleaning it up right now because as over the years you change and your tastes change and things change. I'm
Sure.
rewriting it a little bit. It was a little heavy with the Trale Lewous dialogue, which was my Skittles character. A lot of like broken words and crazy sentences of just like a kind of guy that doesn't know how to speak right. I've toned that down a little bit and made it a little bit more relatable in a way, but the movie itself it would be my physical comedy opus, in my opinion. I wrote in every physical bit that I've done that I think I could redo that's worth redoing, and wrote new things that I've never been able to do because I haven't had the budget to do them. But it would be like, honestly, like Buster Keaton would probably his brain would blow out of his head if he saw this. It would be Jim Carrey couldn't even hold a candle, in my opinion, to what I want to do in this movie. That's what I would say. To be incredibly not humble. That's what I would say. I would go big for sure in Las Vegas, and I feel like people eventually would say everything I did after that stunk, and that was the best thing I ever made. Which inevitably happens for most people. But yeah, I would make a movie. I wouldn't think I would make videos or anything because I've always just wanted to make movies and TV shows. But I make videos because I have time and ideas, and that I don't want to just sit around and wait for someone to give me the opportunity to do something. So I do what I can when I can.
And they don't cost so much money. So as you instantly said, I would make movies. I was trying to think of how many other YouTubers would do the same thing. I mean, I know for a fact that Jake Roper from Vsauce 3, that's what he would do. That's all he wants to do. And just recently, I got interested in this YouTuber, Andrew Bowser, who has this.
Bowser, I know. I'm friends with him. I was in one of his movies.
Okay, yeah. So he's making a movie.
His monster movie.
You were a zombie in his monster movie?
Yeah, he had like this. He was like trying to open this portal. I forget what it was. It was a short film, and he was trying to do something, and then he made a zombie, and then I was like trying to eat him, and he was trying to get rid of me. I can't really remember, but it was a short. But yeah, now he's raising money for a movie right now.
Yeah. So it's called Onyx, the Fortuitous, and the Talisman of Souls. And man, you have to raise a lot of money. I mean, his goal for this is $500,000. And he's at, I think, nearly, as of this recording, $200,000. So I backed it last night, and I got Jake from Vsauce 3 to back it last night. But first of all, $500,000 seems like an insane amount of money on one hand, but on the other hand, when it comes to making a feature film, it's nothing. It's like craft services. It's like no money. It's crazy.
and that a lot of people will be working for free, and they'll be working for like basically just getting their costs covered for things they have to buy and the gear they need. When I shot Neutral, that was a few years ago, and that cost me $50,000. I spent $30,000 of my own money, and that was only a 20-minute short film. And I raised $20,000 on Kickstarter. And then I shot Milford, which is another short that I'm about to release. I'm editing the 30-minute cut right now, and I sent a 15-minute cut to film festivals. And it got into like 2 during the Corona, which was like digital stuff. So I'm just kind of like wanting to put it out now. But Milford cost another $50,000. And again, I spent $30,000. I had to sell my car. I sold every arcade cabinet I had. I sold every toy I've ever had, like every Ninja Turtle, every wrestling figure, every video game. I sold literally everything I owned for Neutral. And then again for Milford, I sold even more stuff and got rid of the stuff that I rebought after Neutral to make Milford. There's I would say for Tom, who's posting links, if you can find the link for the opening shot trailer for Milford, that's the most recent. There it is. It's posted. Thanks. So anyways, this short film Milford cost $50,000, just like Neutral, and it's only 20 minutes long. So a feature, which is an hour longer, if not an hour and 10 minutes longer, maybe even an hour and a half, every single person who does anything has to get paid, So people always, I dealt with that. I would understand what it's like when you're dealing with an audience, or audiences are like, why you're stealing everyone's money? You used to make videos for free. Now you're asking for all this money for a movie. Well, so you don't understand. Putting a tripod down and recording yourself talking to a camera costs almost $0, but it is still your time. And now you're asking for 50 or more people to give their time for a month. Like, you have to pay them and feed them and possibly transport them and get a real camera. A webcam for a video is nothing, but a real film camera, well, not film, but like Red or Alexa, is super expensive to rent, and not many people own them. So
Because
anyway,
they're super
yeah, it's a
expensive to
struggle.
own. Those cameras
Yeah,
are like
I
tens of
know.
thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and if you own, so like for Milford, the most of the movie was shot, even the still right here of us on the motorcycle. I rented this $100,000 lens because it's like a super zoom lens and you can zoom really far. And I had this thing, I wanted to do these long, slow zooms, like sort of like 70s movies. And we were able to shoot most of the movie with that because you can get like every, distance with that lens. So that cost a ton of money. And like it had to be very, if it was broken or like something happened to it, it would have been the end of the world. So we had like lens people, we had like the camera person, we have his assistant. It's just like to get a couple shots of people doing something. It's crazy how expensive it is, but it's just the way it is.
I want to put this in perspective. When I think of, I think like what's one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and if I think of The Toxic Avenger. If anybody doesn't know this movie, the kind of tagline here is a 98-pound nerd from New Jersey lands in a vat of toxic waste and becomes a benevolent monster. This movie is not fantastic in terms of cinematography or writing or anything else. So as Nathan's describing all of this, I think, well, how much did that movie cost to make? I look it up, $500,000.
And that was in the 80s. So that's like a ton of money for that.
Yeah.
That's probably
that's
$2
like
million
$1.5 million
now.
now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. $1.5 million, $2 million. And so like one of the kind of craziest so bad it's good movies that I can think of is still 4 times more effectively than the 500,000 that we were talking about raising. So that's kind of nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I would definitely make a movie because like I like making videos, and even if I was like making movies every year, and that's just like what I did as my main thing, I would still be filming videos on my own because I have so many ideas and I just can't sit still. I have to like make stuff. I often find myself envious now. Mystery Guitar Man, who was a YouTuber.
Yeah.
He's making
Joe Penna.
Joe Penna is making straight up films now, and they're in movie theaters. I saw his last one, Arctic, which had what's his name?
Mads Mikkelsen
in it, and it's such a good movie. Did you know that it was supposed to be on Mars, that movie, but then when the Martian came out, they changed it to the Arctic because they didn't want it to look like the same movie, basically. But he was supposed to be like on Mars originally. I think it's good that it was in the Arctic. I think it's a little more relatable, and you can picture yourself in the situation he's in. But that movie was amazing, and now he's like, I guess, penciled in to direct some huge film that's after doing this one movie. So he went from YouTube to making movies. So it can happen. And I just keep thinking, I need to make it happen for myself. I need to make a film so that someone goes, oh, this guy doesn't just fall down on his face in YouTube videos. He can like do stuff. But ultimately, I just want to act. If I was to pick one thing, I would just act. I don't want to film and direct things. I just do it because I need to make stuff. And I don't want to edit, but I have to. And I don't want to make music, but I have to.
Yeah,
So.
I think that Joe had a short film that did well, and in some sort of festival circuit that got him Arctic. So it seems like you're on a good path here, making the short films at least, and doing like that whole scene, because yeah, it is this process of getting that kind of traditional media recognition and credentials, I guess, because they'll just say, oh, well, what has this guy done before? And guess what, everyone listening, YouTube doesn't count. They don't care at all
true.
how many views your YouTube videos get. It means nothing. It means nothing.
Really does.
It's crazy.
Yep, it's true. And because you can't expect people to picture you in a role without you doing it. You have to show people, look, I can act, or I can do this. I can make these things. I can create music. I can do whatever. You have to show people what you want people to think of you. And I'm aware of what people think of me. They think, a lot of people, like this happened one time at a party. My friend, who's an actor who I became friends with at the Upright Citizens Brigade, she got cast on a show, and I've been on plenty of shows. I was on a show for 3 years on the same network as her. But how I thought she like knew of all this stuff, and everything I do. And she was in a television show that I wrote and created that we put her in with Paul and my brother Seth. And she introduced me to another person at her party as a YouTuber. And I was like, what? I really kind of threw me off. Like, I know some people think of me as a YouTuber, but she, who knew me from like the acting world and comedy world and was in TV shows with me, it's funny to me that she thought of me as a YouTuber. And I was like, Leland, I gave her away what name. I was trying to like be vague here. Well, my friend Leland, who's in our Adult Swim Youth Large pilot, introduced me as a YouTuber because she just knows how many videos I put out, and that's what she's seeing in my feed and on Instagram and stuff. So she said, "Oh, this is my friend Nathan. He's a really big YouTuber." And I was like, "Wait, no, Leland, I'm not a YouTuber. It's just a website I put videos on." Because I think I don't want to say YouTuber is a bad term. It's just not what I think of for myself, because I know what most people think of YouTubers. They think of a person who's holding a camera, vlogging themselves, going, "What's up, guys? We're gonna go to the store and we're gonna buy some new shoes," and like they're just gonna vlog their life. So I'm aware that a lot of people think of that as like what a YouTuber is. So I just try to avoid any label at all and just be like, I'm just an actor who makes things. But anyways, yeah, I know people think of me as that, so I'm trying to show people like I do more than that. And the dad thing, that my dad series was a way for me to sort of like lean into the whole YouTuber thing. It's like, well, if people keep calling me a YouTuber, I'm going to do a character who says he is the greatest YouTuber in the universe. Granted, it's not helping me, Nathan, because now people are hearing that term with one of my characters and thinking I'm doing it. I'm a YouTuber. But at this point, I don't ultimately really care. I'm just going to keep making things and people can think what they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sorry. I ramble. I tend to ramble and I get off point and off topic.
No, it's all interesting because it fascinates me, the line that separates YouTuber and traditional media people, because you're right. In those circles, YouTuber is a 4-letter word that has more than 4 letters. It basically is kind of like a diminished title. And I could understand why that would be, a little awkward in some way if you're in like that sort of environment to be labeled that way, because it's really not at all respected, because I don't know, it's like, it's fine. Everybody has to bolster what they do and, compare what they do to somebody else and say, well, this person, like you said, they just set up a webcam and they somehow get millions of views. It's like, yeah, it really is that easy.
Yeah, it is.
They don't understand even, on the other sides of it, like something that Kevin and I experienced. We were talking to some people about a possible TV show a while back, and we described something that they thought sounded difficult to produce. I forget the exact context. They were like, "Oh, this would be hard to do, whatever." And we tried to explain to them the nightmarish challenge of making the spaghetti chair video, which we talked about that. We made a whole episode a couple of years ago, 2019, I suppose, where we described what that process was. We put a miracle together in 7 days, an international miracle, on an extremely limited budget, and pulled off a production that worked out. And we were trying to say to them, hey, if we did this, what you're saying is going to be hard is actually really not hard at all. It's like we slayed a dragon over here and you're worried about this mosquito. And it did not resonate with them at all. We could have been, speaking like Aramaic to them the whole time, and it would have resonated as strongly. They didn't care. They just had no respect for what the production process would go like. So it makes sense that would extend to on-camera talent, to anybody writing, anything like that.
Yeah. If people just don't know, then they don't know. That's kind of what it is. You just have to I try to look at things with open mind. It's like everyone making anything in general is time and talent and effort, and you shouldn't just look at someone and think one thing. Like I feel like people a long time ago didn't think that. Like people who were models would get cast in films just because they looked right, and then they became an actor. But like now it's like people aren't as open-minded. I think like, oh, well, that person can act, that they've been on camera. Like if you have some sort of a online presence, there's a good chance you can act because you are in a way performing, So I feel like people just need to sort of open their minds and think, not cast someone because they're a YouTuber. I mean, granted, they might not be doing award-winning acting, but like if you direct them well, you could probably get something good out of them. But at the same time, I'm not saying I'm a YouTuber. I'm just an actor who puts things on YouTube and wherever else, where I perform live. I do live shows. So anyway, I don't mean to keep going on about the YouTuber thing, but I think about it a lot.
That's the point of this podcast.
So anyways. Oh, should I answer this question? Someone asked the question in the chat.
Oh, we'll get to the chat's questions at the end of the episode.
Okay.
They have to wait.
Okay.
We have our
an
questions first.
Interesting question. Okay, cool. Sorry.
We can
I'm getting distracted looking at this Discord. I need to like look away.
Well, you're going through your channel is distracting because you are all over the place with the type of content that you're making. It's very clear the passion that you have for trying new ideas, because you go from music videos and dancing to podcasts to stories about your days as a gravedigger.
Oh yeah, I used to be a gravedigger. Yeah, I try to do a lot. I used to call myself. People ask me what I do. I'd say like on my dating profile, I'm on a dating app, and I always write physical comedian or stuntman sometimes even. So physical comedian / actor, but I also, I guess technically I'm a singer because I have albums out and I sing, and I also make the music in the Dad series, and I don't know what else you would say, but yeah, I like to dance. I don't consider myself a dancer, but I like to dance, but I'm not a legit dancer. But it's funny because I say that, and then I'm actually, Keith is about to go, so my Keith Apicary character is about to go make an appearance on a very popular reality TV show where he will dance. I don't think I'm supposed to say much about it, but I'll say that. But yeah, I keep getting asked to dance on these things, and I'm like, I'm not a dancer, but I guess it's because I don't look like a dancer. But Keith and myself like to dance. So
yeah,
anyways.
I heard
and so does Dad.
Yeah,
I was listening to a podcast that you were on earlier, and you mentioned getting invited to dance during halftime of a Miami Dolphins show or something along those lines as Keith.
Yeah, Keith. So when I pranked a dance audition a long time ago, it was my manager and a singer's manager set it up where they were like, they saw Keith dancing in a video or something, and they reached out to my manager and they were like, hey, what if we had Nathan dance in a music video? And then Andy and I talked, my manager, were like, oh, we came up with the idea of I should just prank all these people. I can get a prank video out of it, and they'll hold a dance audition, and Keith will show up like off the street and make a mess, be annoying, and then when he dances, they'll all be surprised. Hopefully it'll be something kind of funny. We'll get a little video out of it, and then that would lead to me being in the music video. So no one in the room knew. Oh yeah, there's a link for it. No one in the room knew. None of the dancers knew. The dance place didn't know. The singer didn't know. Only the two managers knew. And then one manager told the place the lady who runs the dance studio to not kick me out. Just don't kick me out. So like three people sort of knew what was going on. But yeah, I just basically was like a mess. Keith was annoying. He was giving everyone juice boxes, and then he danced. And like I can dance okay, but I decided I should do like one of the moves that's like kind of good that I can do. I can do a backflip. So I figure if I start out doing a backflip, they'll be like, wait, what? That'll like really shock them. And it came out pretty well. I edited the thing, and as I was editing it, I was thinking, I don't know if this is any good. Like, it doesn't really there's no sort of conclusion to the video. It's just like I was annoying, and then I danced, and that's it. And I felt like it was sort of incomplete. But I had to put it up because I had to put a video up that week. And I put it up, and I had Maker Studios. I was with Maker at the time before they went away, and they had a couple of camera people in there, and they told everyone it was a documentary on Kimberly making her music video, and they just happened to catch this wild guy who came in off the street, which I thought I gave away the whole thing, but they were doing a lot of filming of the other dancers to make them think it really was not about me. And they got all this footage of people we were never going to use. So anyways, after that, it sort of opened the floodgates where Flo Rida saw the video and asked me to be in a music video for him. That went crazy. And then I did a thing for Pharrell. And then I've been in so many music videos now. It's like I couldn't even count them. Robin Schultz, I was a police officer in that. And like that just started my career as this dancer in music videos, and now again a reality TV show is asking me to dance as Keith on their show. So that'll be kind of cool, I guess. But I ultimately would just love to do like a prank show, like an Ali G type show as Keith or a few of my characters. That's what I really want. And I was working with Gorilla Flicks, who created Jackass last year, on a project, but Corona happened and it sort of like put a stop to that. So hopefully in the future I can get back to making my Ali G kind of show with my different characters. So yeah, that's my rant about Keith and not being a dancer, but keep being asked to dance.
Well,
so yeah.
Why did you go down? So for Youth Large, that was more of a narrative show, right? Why didn't you go down the prank route for that? Just because that's what the network wanted for that pilot?
Well, we were talking to Adult Swim about doing something, and the head of the network at the time, he said something pretty crazy to us, and it kind of blew my mind. I was like, well, here, my life is being changed in this moment. He said he wanted Keith to be like the new face of Adult Swim. And we were developing our show, and I was like, oh my gosh, this will be like the new big thing. And they were just starting to do half-hour shows. And our show with Keith, Youth Large, was one of the very first pilots. It was Black Jesus and us. And then they ended up going with Black Jesus, which was great because it was a good show. And they didn't pick up Youth Large, and they developed some other things, I think, after. And I don't know if any other full half hours other than like I shouldn't say full half hour of all shows, but real shows. Human, not cartoon.
Yeah, live action.
Live action is the phrase I'm trying to think of. Human shows, not drawing shows. Brain isn't working. You know those drawing shows like DuckTales?
Yeah, whatever they're called.
But yeah, so we were developing that, and what he thought what he wanted to do was just a crazier Always Sunny with Keith, and open up the Keith universe, and we see Keith's brother, which was Kyle Mooney, and then Cheffid, who is my brother's actual nickname, my brother Seth, who wrote on the show and produced it with us, and he's who I do the podcast with, and he writes like a lot of stuff. He's doing his own thing right now, filming some films of his. But Cheffid was a character on the show that my friend Joe Hursley, who's in the Dad series, he plays Neighbor. Joe played the TV version of my brother, and then basically it was me, Seth, and Paul. It was like our version of like Always Sunny. We're like more nerdy lunatics, and it was just a little weirder, I guess. But yeah, that was it. And it didn't go through, but you never know. But then we got another version of it. Comedy Central liked it, and they were like, let's do our version of this show. So I got for a year, we were developing with Comedy Central a script called Best Vends, VENDS, and it was me and Josh Fadum, who's another physical comedian or just actor who does physical comedy, and we ran a vending machine company, and the vending machine snacks were pretty crappy. And it was just like us making sandwiches, putting them in Ziploc bags and putting them in vending machines and stuff. And then loose cups of juice were also in the vending machine because they weren't really thinking about it. Because this was sort of based on, I used to have a vending machine in my house with all my arcade cabinets, and I would always put a loose peanut butter sandwich in one of the slots for my friends that's like a joke, and it would get really stale and just sit there. But I also had like gushers and stuff in this vending machine. So anyway, yeah. The Best Vends.
Josh Fadum is hilarious. I didn't know that you did a thing with him. I would have loved to have watched that show. Josh Fadum had some video on YouTube a long time ago where he was just trying to put on a suit, I think. And him just trying to put on a suit like ends up turning into this whole like Rube Goldberg like ridiculous thing of him getting like the coat hanger stuck in his neck, and he like falls off a ironing board. I don't know. It turns into this whole Mr. Bean skit. And I always thought that was so funny. And he was in Twin Peaks: The Return.
He was. He
for
was
anybody who watched that, he got Dougie his coffee.
He was a pretty big part in the new Twin Peaks. He also is on Better Call Saul. He's been doing a lot of good stuff. Yeah, Josh has been doing a lot.
Him shoot the commercials.
Yeah. He's like the annoying camera guy. Annoyed camera guy, I should say. So he and I met at the Upright Citizens Brigade, and we became friends because we were like the only two people doing physical comedy, and I still feel like we are the only two still people doing it. But things have sort of slowed down now because of Corona and not able to like go to live shows or anything. But that's where we met at UCB. So Josh is amazing, and I wrote another show for Adult Swim. Lazo, the head of the network a few years ago, said he was like, I want to do but he's not the head anymore. I think he retired last year. He wanted to do a Three Stooges, like a new Three Stooges. He likes physical comedy, and I like went to Atlanta and talked to him about this. So, like what his idea was. He's like, write a physical comedy. And I wrote a show that I still think is really good, and I would like to maybe take it out somewhere else if it was like revamped or whatever. But it was me and Josh as two handymen that would go to people's houses to fix things, and we just ultimately end up destroying their house in the end. but we would get that light bulb changed. The light bulb was fixed. The rest of the house was disaster. So that was like my version, and they ended up not going with it. So it's like you never know. It's really frustrating. When sometimes I just wish I got close with that one where he's just like telling me what he wanted. I was like, okay, great. Just tell me what you want and I will do it, because I have a lot of ideas and I can do many things. But if you have me in mind, and it's me and it's something I can do, then hopefully we have better odds of this going through. But developing with networks is just they call it development hell, and it's called that for a reason. It's literally hell. You're getting paid nothing. You're writing for years. No one can ever know about it. No one can ever see it. And you want to tell your friends, I'm doing something cool. I'm working for a network, but it's probably not going to go through because they only pick up one show for the year and they're developing like 20 projects. It's so disheartening and soul crushing. That's why I just keep making videos in the meantime, and hopefully maybe one of them will blow up and a network will be like, okay, let's just do that. So it betters my odds, I guess, and I get to make stuff in the process. But yeah, making a show would be amazing. I'd love to do. I have this I was talking to this one friend who is at Amazon. I had a pilot with them when they first started as well, with my Simmons character, and I still talk to him. I was talking to him a couple days ago about I want to do a sitcom, a 3-camera sitcom, sort of like Laverne and Shirley, which is actually pretty funny if you guys haven't watched it. I watched it a couple years ago for the very first time, like really sat down and watched it. They're funny. Like they throw themselves around. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, this is impressive that these ladies are just doing this. And I never knew this about the show. But I was like, it'd be cool to do my own version of a 3-camera sitcom, but it's like a little more twisted and weird. But it's filmed like like a regular sitcom, like, whatever, Family Matters. But there's a ton of physical comedy. Like I'm falling through roofs and like I'm getting hit by cars, and like it's just really intense physical comedy, but it still has all the same cheesy jokes, and everyone sort of treats these insane things happening to me, like a safe falling on my head is like, oh, Ron, the safe fell on his head. It's like not a big deal, but it's just kind of what happens in this world. I thought it could be cool, like a more modern, for today's audiences, young people who like intense craziness, like Eric Andre show with Laverne and Shirley, but it's not pushing the Eric Andre too hard where it's like weird to be weird and crazy to be crazy. It still is a 3-camera sitcom, but the physical comedy is like next level. That's sort of like one of my ideas, but maybe who knows? Too many ideas, not enough time. Maybe something will happen someday.
Yeah, but it's frustrating to me to know that none of these things have gotten picked up. Like if I were in charge, I'd just check all these boxes. Yep. Oh, a 3-camera setup where we drop safes on Nathan's head.
Yeah, right.
The light is green. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's a moneymaker right there.
Yeah, but how frustrating is that for you to go through this over and over again, man?
Imagine you are making a project that you're working on and you're going to put online at some point, and you're like putting your heart and soul into it, and you're editing and you're filming and you're writing, you're making music, you're doing everything. And then they say, oh, never mind, we're not going to do that. And they take it from you and throw it in the trash. You would be so upset. Like that's what happened to me 20 something times now with all these different networks. You're like writing this thing, and then you even get to film it, and you do like test shoots and you do photo shoots. And I just went through something with Comedy Central last year. That was a thing with my friend Charlene Yee. It was me and my brother Seth, Paul, and Charlene, who's my friend, and she was my roommate. We just all moved out of the house at the end of this year. But it was me and Charlene were like the 2 stars of the thing, and it's based on my life as a gravedigger, and we wrote around that. And my brother Seth was a gravedigger there as well. So it was based on that, and I loved it. I loved this project. And then they were like, oh, we can't do it. We're doing Aquafina's show. And we're like, okay. And I just can't tell anybody about it. I can't do anything about it. Like this work is gone. That's why I've just put stuff on the internet, because it's like I can at least show people it's not at the level production value wise that I would like it to be, because I'm just doing it myself, but it's still something. But that's what's frustrating, is like I know I have more to offer, and if I had someone could just shoot, like Youth Large is one of the few times like we got to actually put it online. Adult Swim was like, yeah, you can put it online. So we made something that looked good, that I thought was funny, and I also was able to do some physical comedy in, and it had gaming stuff in there, which I like, and it was one of my favorite characters as Keith. So I got to show people, but every day, even to this day, people say, when are you going to do another episode of Youth Large? And I say, I always write back to them, when you can give me $120,000 to shoot another one, because that was cheap, and that's what it cost. It was a very cheap show. It was $120,000 to shoot that 22 minutes of an episode. We shot it over 5 days, and like a lot of people worked super low because it was like they had like these special contracts where the actors were only getting like $100 a day because But then if it became a show, the rates would all go up, and there'd be like a full budget. But since it was like a pilot, we were able to get away with like these like indie deals or whatever, indie SAG, Screen Actors Guild deals and crew deals. But yeah, even that's still a lot of money. I don't have $120,000 to put into one video.
Yeah.
Or anything. I don't have that kind of money.
And for people who may still be on the fence about why it's so expensive, just watch the credits. Sit through the credits of any show or movie. They
all got paid a full rate.
It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. And guess what? Yeah, all of those people, this is their job. So someone has to pay them.
And then all the people who do PR and promote it and do the stuff after the fact, that's all like costs of it too. And they're not even known about. Yeah, I always tell people it's the most expensive form of art. And I often just wish I wanted to be a painter and I just could buy paint and a palette and that's it. It cost me $20 to make something, and I just make paintings all day. But making films is definitely the most expensive form of art making. But I've asked
crayons.
For it, so. Yeah,
you could get some crayons. Then you could make one of those drawing shows.
There you go. One of those
instead of human shows. You could make
a drawing show. Those are cheap. Those are real cheap to make. We'll just ask like Meat Canyon or Psychic Pebbles how cheap it is to do animation.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, and that first video I made, that cartoon Barricade, it took my life away, and that's just because I was doing it really in a crude way, but like I was drawing so much, and I'm friends with animators now who are like, oh my god, I'm dying. I've been sitting in this chair for 40 hours. And just like, to make one 5-minute thing takes like a month.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing I didn't really recognize until we've had several animators now on the Create Unknown.
Yeah.
One of the things I just never really thought about before was you have to be really committed that joke is still funny after you're working on it for, like that 90th hour of animating and coloring the background and doing the sound design or whatever for like literally a 3-second joke. Like you have to be really sure that it's still funny, even though to you it stopped being funny a long time ago.
or you need to rewrite a joke that matches the same mouth movement.
Yeah.
Which is going to be really hard.
Yeah. Next to impossible.
Yeah.
But you're going to keep going with trying to get shows
I'll
made?
I'll never stop. That's all I'm programmed to do. Like, just have too many ideas. I'm going to keep filming videos and I'm going to keep pitching things. Once Corona is done, then I can go back at it more. Once like maybe 2023 or 2022, whenever the world really goes back to normal. I actually just sent an email because I'm under not a contract, but like I'm doing something with Comedy Central right now that started right before Corona hit. And all during Corona, I've been checking in with them, being like, hey, what's the deal? What do you want to do? What do you think for the future? Like, when do you think this is possible? But like, it's kind of like they don't know because they don't know. And it would be like me in public and stuff. So that's like the one thing I sort of have that I can keep checking in on. Like, that's my one connection to a network at this moment. But after that, once this is all over, I'll go back out there with new ideas. But in the meantime, I'll still be filming the Dad series is my main 9 to 5 right now. I film and edit every day, constantly making music. I just put the new album out. I'm putting out I shot 7 music videos last week for this new album, 2 official music videos and 5 that they're sort of like lyric videos, but they're not. They're going to be dance videos. They're like him dancing straight through for the whole time. But yeah, I shot those. I shot 2 other videos that I'm editing. I shoot maybe 7 videos a week, every week, but not just like vlog type thing. Like I was up top of a mountain. I was walking through a lake the other day. I try to like go out and shoot like real stuff, like make it as cinematic as possible. Because I want to make, I don't know, things that I would want to look at and things that interest me. And I'm trying to keep this dad story going. It's a huge story and it will take forever to tell the whole thing. But Yeah, that's like some people might not know what I'm talking about, but there's a channel I have called Dad Feels, and it's about a dad, but he's a robot. His name is Dadbot, and season one just ended, and I'm now in this in between season, sort of between season one and season two, and then season two will start soon-ish, kind of. But yeah, every day I'm uploading to the Dad channel, and after this thing, I'm actually going to go out and film something, a darker episode. A pretty dark thing is going to happen in this Dad series, and there's a lot of horror fans that like the Dad audience, and I've never really gone into the horror angle of Dad, and they're all wanting it to happen. So maybe they'll be happy with what's coming up.
I think we got to go into the kind of origin and lineage of the Dad project, because Kevin and I were talking about it the other day, and there's a lot there. There's a lot that that is not clear. A lot of things are confusing at first glance. Like it's extremely intricate.
Oh
so
yeah,
we thought,
it's real big. It's real big.
And there's about 7 episodes worth of talking about Dad that we've got to pack into one.
Yeah, Dad is like a whole thing. It's really big. I wanted to just do something very different than what I'd done before, but I'd also sort of tried testing out this Dad thing on my Nathan channel in 2017. But now I always say it's a sci-fi soap opera. It's this ongoing saga of that takes place in this facility, and you learn it's a facility as you start watching, so I'm sort of giving things away. But yeah, basically I wanted to make a channel that I could just make tons of stuff for a very long time and sort of do everything that I like to do. There's dancing, there's music videos. I wanted to do some new songs because Keith Apicary used to make songs and he had albums, and I would perform those live at shows. And I wanted to do something new where I was this other character and I was doing more electronic dance music, but as a dad. The main joke, sort of what stemmed the whole thing, is I thought it'd be funny to take a guy who looks as lame as you can be, but then you see him out on stage. Like, say you're at a Marshmallow show. Marshmallow's DJing some big festival, and there's all these hip rave people around. And then this guy comes out that looks like a manager of McDonald's from 1975, and he's bald, and he does a backflip and starts DJing the craziest set you've ever heard and dancing like a lunatic. And you're like, oh my God, this guy is insane. What am I seeing? That is who then has a YouTube channel that you discover, and you're like, this channel has so much lore. It's so weird. It's so deep and so intense, but these music videos are so catchy. I basically thought it'd be really funny to make a pop star who looks not like a pop star at all. That's sort of what my motivation was for this Dad channel. But I keep uploading videos. It's sort of like what Poppy did. Poppy had really good music, but she also had these strange videos which kept you thinking about her and kept you like watching her. So it's basically like a Keith Apicary thing too. Keith had Talking Classics, a series where he talks about video games. It's a documentary on him talking about his favorite video games, but he also had songs and music videos. Dad's the same thing. Dad has songs and music videos, but a really deep story and really weird videos. It's a way to keep the musician happening. Like if Ariana Grande or whoever, Beyonce had a YouTube channel where she was uploading strange videos, you'd probably like her more or think about her more because you don't know what's going on, and you're like, well, you're just constantly thinking about her, like wondering. So that's what I thought would be good for Dad, is like, well, the music for me is the main thing, but the thing I thought Poppy didn't do was she didn't have an actual story. It was just weird to be weird, kind of, and there was like commentary on stuff. But Dad is commentary on stuff, and there's like actual secrets, hidden things, and a long storyline. And the one thing I will say at the end of this rant is it is not an ARG. People think it's an ARG. I didn't know what an ARG was when I started this. It's not a game. An alternate reality game is what an ARG is. There's no game. It's just a series you need to watch. But I hide things. The original reason I hid things was because I wanted to get more views. So I'd hide like these little like glitches and like little blips of binary. So people would be like, wait, what was that? And they'd skip back, and then they'd go back and watch later to see if they missed another one. So I'm getting extra views and extra clicks and more time spent on my channel, which would give me more money so I could make more stuff. So really it was just a trick to get more views. And then I got hooked on it. I kept doing it because people started looking for them. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to put them here. And then sometimes I don't put them at all to make people go crazy. We're like, I didn't find anything. Where is it? What's in this one? But there's nothing there. So but I do it now because there's a whole audience, and I have these secret societies in my Discord who are people that have proven themselves really smart and they can find things. So I started making these secret societies, and they all started battling each other to find the clues. And there was actually a competition, and now there's an infinite society who has won. And now I just recently joined the secret societies together in my Discord in the Dad Discord, and so I basically hide stuff for them. And a lot of the time, what it is just they will get clues in character drops and things like that, story drops, and they'll find out stuff before other people if they can assemble this backwards, reversed, scrambled audio in binary that's hidden in these videos. They'll find out things that others aren't finding out. So you don't need to look into it, but really, I just say it's a sci-fi soap opera, and he's a pop star robot who makes music.
Oh, that's all. Oh, makes sense. Got it. That's as simple as that. Thank you for explaining it so concisely.
I know, but really it's just a character. It's just a channel for one of my characters, and there's a lot going on. But like, I have a lot of characters, and that's just one of them. I made his own YouTube channel because I knew there was going to be so much content. It would be easier just to put it on his channel instead of putting it on the Nathan channel. So anyways, yeah, there you go.
I want to jump back to the part about the ARG, because you're really clear on it not being one.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're making this thing and it basically kind of making games for people to play within that thing, which, solving puzzles and all that, and like how do you draw the line so clearly on this?
I say no, because if I say yes, they're going to think that some people will start to think that they can solve it or win it, but there's nothing to solve. There's nothing to beat.
Okay.
There's no game in the end. And an ARG is dependent on the audience. Like, it doesn't end until they do it. Dad does not, and I always say over and over, Dad does not end. It's not ending because this is my 9 to 5, and it's a story that I want to go on for a very, very, very long time. It's sort of like WWE. The storylines never end. Soap operas, the stories never end. It just keeps going. New people will come, things will change. The whole channel might change at some point, be something completely different, but it will still be stemmed from the same original story. So it's not a game, but what a lot of people have been investigating the Dad channel, like Nightmind and Expo and other people. Nightmind put it in a good way where people are calling some things unfiction. And unfiction means it's like it has ARG elements, but it's not a game. And also, Matt Pat recently Film Theory just did an episode on it. And I think he said it was an ARG too, which I understand. People just keep calling it ARG because that's the term they know. But I never knew what ARG was when I started it. For me, it's just, I don't know why people even need to say unfiction. I wish they could just say it's a series. And there's Easter eggs, because there's movies where they hide stuff in it, but that doesn't make that movie an ARG, or that show isn't an ARG. It's just hidden things for fun. So I don't know why people love and have to say the phrase ARG nowadays. That people, I think, they just know that term and want things to be that because they like other things that fall in that category. But I think it's just a series, and there's some secrets for Easter eggs. But
what is an example of something that actually is an ARG? Because when I first saw that term, I thought it was like a cryptocurrency. I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah. So, I've learned about ARGs from people who tell me I am one. And they're an ARG. Don't hug me, I'm scared. I think, that's not really an ARG either, because unedited footage of a bear is on Adult Swim is apparently, they say it's an ARG, but I don't think there's anything to solve in any of those. The Sun Vanished is one that I think is guaranteed an ARG. And I don't know, I don't know if it was Alex Bale. He did Pizza Time Pizza, but The Sun Vanished, I think, is one that is actually an ARG, but it all took place on Twitter. And it's not like, a lot of these things will take place on other platforms, not YouTube or video hosting websites. It's like you just got to follow this guy's tweets, and then they lead you to a website, and that leads you to an answer. So I think The Sun Vanished is one that you could say is an ARG, because there is a game. And that's apparently Local 58, which is a YouTube channel. I think Local 58 might be an ARG. I don't know, because I don't really pay attention to ARGs, and I'm not interested in that kind of thing. So I don't know if it's a game or if it's just weird to be weird, and you're supposed to think of what the whole story is meaning. I think they're supposed to I think a lot of times they're commentary on things, but not necessarily a game. But people if there's something's cryptic and weird, people call it an ARG. That's just the term nowadays that you get. So if Twin Peaks came out today, people would call it an ARG for sure.
Oh,
because that's what people think. I feel that's what they call it. Everything an ARG now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Well, I did watch a 4.5-hour explanation video on Twin Peaks. So
Yeah, well, there you go. Maybe
there's a lot there.
That's the thing. Like some stuff can just be involved in deep, but it doesn't mean it's a game.
It's not a game.
But and
No,
also everything
game.
is an alternate reality. Any show or any TV show is an alternate reality. So does that mean everything is an alternate reality series or game? I think people need to calm down with the ARG. It's just entertainment. I also have a problem with labels, and I start dissecting what means what, and I don't like labels. I think Keith Apicary, I used to hide stuff in the VHS all the time, but that wasn't an ARG. And Keith Apicary's Talking Classic series was filmed on VHS, and there were VHS scrambles, and I would hide things in them, and I would hide the images from my other videos like Ray Amsley in some of these glitches and weird images, but it didn't. No one called it an ARG then, but now it's a term for nowadays, so everyone says it. So
right,
yeah,
they want to think of it that way. How did you? I really wanted to ask you about how you made the Keith Apicary videos because they were on VHS. You used an old camera, so how did you transcode or like digitize the footage from like an 80s camcorder and into your computer?
The only time I did it a couple times, most of the time it was just Final Cut 7 VHS effects, but there were times I did shoot on VHS, and what I would do is I would play it on a flat screen monitor, and I'd turn the lights off, and then I would film the TV again to capture it, and then I would take the better audio and replace it with the real audio, not the audio coming from the TV.
Okay.
So
yeah, because when I was in film school, this was like in this weird pyramid where period before it was really easy to we weren't recording on digital, we were still recording on mini DV.
Yeah
And in order to get things, and we would put stuff on VHS, so in order to get things from like the VHS into the computer, there was this, remember in school when you had a substitute and they would wheel in the gigantic cart with the 900-pound TV and the VCR. It was very similar to that, only imagine that, and it's like 4 times as complex with like all manner of like weird electronic things you've never seen before, in order to just get like the VHS footage onto the iMac in 2002.
Yeah, I started using, I had a mini DV camera as well, and I would play the VCR, I'd plug it into the camera, and I'd hit record on my mini DV, and then I could put a VHS, oops, I just knocked my mic over, you guys might want to edit out that sound. I would take the VHS from a VCR, record it onto a mini DV, and then from mini DV, you could capture in Final Cut, and I could play that tape, so I could do that as well. So, but it was like real convoluted, like 3-step process. But they do make things now, or like my friend had one. It was like this big, it was like what you're talking about. It's like a big box, and you could put all kinds of stuff in it, and you could record it onto like a digital format. That would be handy to get, because
and it was in real time. You'd have to wait for the thing to play. To record it.
Unless it had like high speed dubbing, which I don't know if they do that with video or not. But
back then I don't think that worked.
I don't think so.
For getting it onto the computer.
We've talked about wanting to talk to Weird Paul on this podcast in the future, and I think he was until very recently, like a year or two ago, editing using 2 VCRs. So I think he was filming on tape and then also editing his final video on tape as well, and then somehow getting that onto YouTube. So it's crazy the lengths that people go to preserve, that aesthetic.
Yeah, VHS is amazing. I love it. I've really analyzed VHS errors and flaws and how they're not as intense as you think they are. So when you see something that looks VHS-y, it's probably been affected, because VHS is actually, in what I've seen, and I have tons of VHS here, they're oftentimes pretty clean, and it's just sometimes there's a little wobble at the bottom of the screen. So like I used to like go overboard on the Talking Classic series to show people it's VHS, because a lot of times it would just look too clear, and I was like, oh, this isn't that bad at all. But yeah, VHS, I used to do that in high school. We would edit with 2 VCRs. We would make videos and record one and then pause it and then put the other tape in and make a cut and then hit record again using 2 VHS decks, because that's how I learned to edit in high school. I had a video tech class, and I would after school we had a comedy show we would make in the cable studio called The Sweet Ride, and we would air it on local cable access like every week through like the satellite. And everyone in our town who could watch the local channel and watch our sketch show. So like old people would be flipping through and they'd see us kids doing some stupid skit.
That's amazing. You're so awesome. Lucky you had that. That's so cool.
That was 1994 and 5, I think. I graduated in 99, so it was like those 4 years. My brother Josh started it when he was I was like a freshman. He was a junior. They called it The Sweet Ride, and then we changed the title later. Me and my friend Fran, whose name was Justin, we called him Fran, and my brother Seth, we called it The Elastic Sheep Farm. That's what we changed it to, and it just was really weird sketches of characters and stuff. But yeah, that was how I learned to edit, was on the big decks where you're twisting the knobs and pushing them in and setting in points and out points. So I had them thinking, I understood how to edit with in points and out points and like the concept of editing since I was like 14. But and then when I started editing on a computer, it was like the same thing. You're just hitting I and O for in point, out point. But yeah, it was fun. I love doing a cable access show.
This is something that the kids today just don't know. They don't push any buttons that have feedback anymore. Like pushing a button on an older phone. There's no knob that you have to twist. There's nothing that you have to crank anymore. You know that like the old TVs that had like 13 channels and a big knob.
Yeah.
Switching the channel from one to the other, it was like chunk.
Yeah.
It's like a garage door closing.
And who's gonna get up to change it? No one ever wanted to get up to change the channel.
Yeah.
We had that. Did you ever watch Louis Anderson's show? I think it was called Louis the Cartoon.
Yeah.
It was that cartoon in the intro. When we saw the intro, my family, we loved it because we had a wrench, we had an adjustable, we had pliers on because we lost the dial on the top, so you have to use pliers to twist the knob. And they had it like the same thing there, like the ratchet pliers. They had that on the intro of their show. Louis got up to change the channel on the TV, and they had the pliers on there. Couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my gosh, another family has the pliers. It was awesome. So we just never got the new dial. It was just a piece of plastic.
Life with Louis. That's what it was called.
Life with Louis. Yeah. Life with Louis. That show was awesome. I love that show.
That was a good show. Yeah. No. And I don't know how we got on this topic. A few weeks ago, Matt and I were talking about audio editing for some reason. And I took an audio editing class in college where in order to essentially like explain like the bones of audio editing, this professor made us cut tape. He made us actually cut audio tape, magnetic tape, before he would allow us on the computer to use. I don't even recall what the software was at that time. It certainly wasn't Premiere. I don't remember what it was. It's probably long defunct now. But before we got on the computer, he made us learn how to cut tape. And I was trying to explain the intricacies of that process to Matt. And eventually I just looked it up on YouTube so that I, just send him a link like, here, this is what it looked like. And it is unbelievable for anybody who's never actually watched the process of how, any classic music that you listen to, whether it's the Beatles or Led Zeppelin or whatever, Rolling Stones was recorded on magnetic tape and cut this way, and using like a grease pencil and a razor and your ears to scrub back and forth to like listen for the exact hair of a second that you wanted to make the cut. And by cut, I mean literally physically cut the tape. That's what that
with the razor.
Yeah, with the razor. That's why it says cut.
And like if you
cutting, there's you
throw off the flow of the
Control
song.
Z.
Yeah, if you did it wrong, you mess up the beat, you mess up the rhythm. Like it's so
disastrous,
sketchy. And like I do that with music, so I make music as the dad character in Keith, and I'd often get music from musicians, and I'll rearrange the song a little bit to how it'll work for my lyrics, and I have to cut like on the beat, and I'm like inching, like, wait, is that on, that off? And I'm like, you're really analyzing your little cut, and that's like difficult just on an editing in a program.
Yeah.
But like I can't imagine doing it in real life, and that's like the recording that they have. So you better hope you have a backup.
Yeah, if you make the slightest mistake on that cut or you're not happy with it, you need to do it again. You need another reel. You need another reel of tape that is exactly the same to make that cut. So it's massively high stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you mess up, you could just hit undo and your waveform is magically put back together. Yep. So that's why no one would use this term anymore, because destructive editing doesn't exist. But in the early days, like editing on a computer was called non-destructive editing for that reason, because you're not destroying the project, because you could just hit undo and it's pieced back together magically.
That's cool. I didn't know that term.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, it's not like when they cut it, it was gone forever. I'm sure that they had backups and stuff like that. And then, you know, eventually they would create the master, which was like the final of putting everything together. But
yeah,
you know, I think Matt and I think we were talking about it because we were wondering why music sounded different after like a certain time.
Yeah.
Like somewhere like in the 80s, all of a sudden it sounded differently. And part of my hypothesis had to do with this, was switching to computers.
Yeah, maybe the quality is just different. I feel that way about films. Like films shot on film as opposed to digital have a different look. It's just rougher. You can see the grain more, and the things aren't exposed correctly. And film, you know, absorbs things differently. And I think when you grow up with that, you're used to that. Like to me, that's what a movie looks like. But if something's too clean and too crisp, I'm taken out of it. Like, because I associate, like that'll change over times when audiences and people grow up only seeing certain things. For me, certain aspect ratio and a certain graininess is what makes it a movie. Otherwise it just looks like a home video, sort of. If it's too clear, it looks too much like real life. I prefer 70s films, even though I wasn't alive in the 70s and I was born in the 80s and didn't really pay attention to things until the 90s. I still like 70s films. That's like kind of what I saw. And even the 80s, they were obviously using film. I mean, they're using film in the 90s, but things were just grittier. And I don't know, I just tend to like those types of things. And it has things have a different look nowadays, for sure. Like when that Hobbit movie came out and they shot it like 60 frames or whatever, it looked so bad in my opinion, because you could see the makeup on their faces and you could see like paint on the cave walls. And I was like, this is horrible looking. Like you need to hide things, I think, in film in a certain not desaturation, but like a certain what's the word? Destructive. You need to ruin the footage a little bit in a way to sort of make it feel like another world, where it doesn't look like what your eyeballs are used to seeing in your house. You know what I mean? That's just how I sort of think it.
This is an issue on details like makeup, where like I'm frequently watching shows, especially, I don't want to say low budget because they're really not, but like the production value on some foreign stuff is not as polished as, you know, what's on network TV or whatever. So occasionally you'll get somebody who their makeup is just not quite right. There's something with their makeup that's either not flattering or just plain off. And it smacks you right in the face, because this is popping in at least 1080 and probably in 4K.
Yeah.
It's wild. And I look at that, I'm like, you know what? 15 years ago, this looks awesome. I never see this. These details do not matter. And actually, I think it's either Coronation Street. I think it is Coronation Street on BBC. They could not upgrade to HD because their set was built primarily in the 80s, and it kind of looks like shit.
Yeah.
You could get away with it back then.
Yeah.
It looked, you know, like the way a high school play, you know, the set is kind of a character of a real set. It had that motif, and that's completely fine when you're not seeing hyper detail. If you pop that into HD, it looks janky and terrible. And so they're unable to do that in anything other than standard definition until they have the money to rebuild the set. I think it's Coronation Street, which, you know, there are elements to this. It's a soap opera, by the way. There are like 50 seasons. It's gone on forever. So the elements of the street, the people where they live and the stores and stuff like that, they're all the same, and they're all part of this ongoing thing. So it's not just background details that nobody's going to pay attention to. They're literally part of this long running story. But if you actually get to see them, they're going to look terrible.
Yeah. I've heard makeup artists, when I'm on jobs, they'll ask another makeup artist, like, what are they shooting on? And because I think that will affect what makeup they're applying to people, knowing how it's going to be captured.
Yeah.
So I think
that
that's definitely a thing. Yeah.
It's true. Yep.
I mean, there's old video games that I feel that about, where they try to remaster them or upgrade the textures and it looks worse. Not all of them. Like, I don't mean that as a blanket statement at all, but there were some, like I'm trying to think, some of the old RPGs, like they redid some of the Dragon Quest games, and then they just ended up looking like cheap iPhone games instead. And it's weird that even that has an aesthetic where you're like, this looks like a cheap mobile game instead of, a high budget console game. But it is interesting that, yeah, those things created in that era had their own fidelity, and then trying to take them into modern fidelity, the translation doesn't always go so smoothly.
Because if you have something else that's already been looks similar, and I think that's why it happens to everything like that. I'm a victim of that with the whole ARG thing. If people see something and they have it in their head what that type of thing is, anything that comes after is going to be lumped in with that. So like, yeah, if you have some game with flash animation, and that's a lot of times mobile games, anything that looks similar. There's a game, I forget what it's called. There's this girl, Ren, who's like a mod in my whole Discord dad world thing. She's played a game today. It's this fighting game where these like anime looking girls, and you're like it's like a side scrolling beat 'em up kind of, and you're like whacking people with swords. And it looks really cool, but it looks like flash animation, which sort of turns me off, because it's kind of like, it's kind of like, I don't know, this doesn't look fun. Like, I like 16-bit, and I actually had this fear with Streets of Rage 4.
Is it River City Girls?
It's not River City Girls. It's something else.
Oh, that's from the River City Ransom, isn't that like the sequel to that?
Yeah, there's like a new one that came out a couple years ago with these two girl characters. But that did look different too. That didn't have like the 8-bit look. Like Streets of Rage 4 is sort of a good example. At first I was like, I'm not gonna like this. It's got like sort of like cartoon animation, and I want to look like bits, like 16-bit. I want to feel like a cliche video game, in my opinion. And when something looks like a cartoon, it's a cartoon to me. It's not a video game. But then I changed my mind, because I started to look at Streets of Rage 4 differently, and it looked more like a comic book, and I liked the art of it, and I also thought the game was super fun. So now I'm just kind of like over it, but it helped break my I guess outlook on it. And like that happens to people, I think, when you see something for so long and you see something else that looks similar, you have that association with the thing you didn't like. Anyway.
Yeah. I
just need to open my mind more, I guess, and be more open-minded, which I think I am. But then I learn every day how not open-minded I am. And I think I am open-minded for someone who makes weird, strange content. And I was the weird kid in high school. Even I'm pretty close-minded, apparently, because I like what I like, and I don't want to I don't want to like other things, I guess. It's my problem. But then I learned, like, I will say, I've learned the past couple of years that I probably would like anything and everything if I just gave it a chance, because I now play Fortnite and absolutely love it. And I made fun of that game for years. And I never thought I'd play Minecraft. I absolutely love Minecraft. I think Minecraft's the greatest game in the world, maybe my favorite game ever, specifically with shaders on, the shaders I use, which make me want to live in Minecraft. But yeah, Fortnite is a game that I think is really fun. And I didn't like the style of the game, like artwork, but now I do. So...
Are there any Keith Apicary dance moves in Fortnite?
Well, so I'm not supposed to talk about this legally, so I won't.
Oh no!
I won't talk about.
What did I stumble upon?
The no bones dance that looks just like my dance that's in there, and I didn't get paid anything to not talk about it. Yeah, so I'll say that. Wow. But yes, there is a dance in there called the Boneless Dance, which looks a lot like my dance. There it is. There's the emote. Looks just like my No Bones dance, which I did as Keith and many characters. The original video is called No Bones Dance, and it's a video I made for a channel called Dance On. And Fortnite finds things that are popular, and they take them Not saying they took mine, but that's something they do. And I'm
Well, that's
there.
well
There you go.
publicized.
There you go.
You know,
There's the
old
video in the chat.
Alfonso Ribeira, Carlton was upset with them for the Carlton dance, and
Yep.
who else? There was somebody else.
There's a lot of people.
High profile. Yeah,
I think it was 2019 or whatever. Everyone was coming out of the woodwork saying how their dances were being stolen. So honestly, I'll tell you this: when I started the dad series, so someone posted in the chat how to do the boneless dance, which is my video. The center image of me in front of the gray backdrop was what I was using for the very first dad videos on my Nathan channel. I was purposely making weird dances to see if any of them would catch on, to then hopefully have Fortnite rip it off again, and they would have to talk to me again and not give me something to be quiet about it. So I was like, what? I was like, well, I've made a lot of like sort of viral dance things, and what's another one I could do? So one of the ones I started with was, I call it Dad Feels Good, and it's actually what I did with the Miami Dolphins cheerleaders. When they asked me to do that halftime show, I wanted to do a new dance, and I thought it'd be funny to do this thing where I rub my bald head and wiggle my hips, and it's like a dance only a bald guy can do, and I called it Dad Feels Good, and that's what he does when he's feeling good. So that was the very first dad video, and then I turned it into a whole song, and I had Danny Brown, the rapper, he got on it, and he's in the music video, and I sort of like blew up that one, that which was just supposed to be a weird internet thing you'd find some weird guy doing a weird dance, became a major part of the lore and world of this dad universe. So kind of like went as far as I could with that one strange dance move. But yeah, it was all because I was like seeing like what I could make stick, and if Fortnite would steal it again.
Yeah, Fortnite bait.
Yeah, basically, I try to be bait for Fortnite all the time, because I ultimately I would love to have Dad become a character. If it got popular enough, if Dad ever hit like 1 million subscribers, I'm getting close to 300,000, so please subscribe, everybody. If Dad ever hit even 500,000, would change my life. But yeah, if I hit 1 million subscribers someday, and the Dad became popular enough, I could see Fortnite maybe adding the character in, because it is sort of like a unique look to the character. He's got like sort of his Bart Simpson outfit that you just know when you see him.
I didn't know Fortnite did that. They'll take
yeah, they'll do like collabs
characters
with people.
like that.
You can it's mostly like pretty famous people will get put in the game, and they'll get like a skin or whatever. So that's the dream. If I'm popular enough where I'm in Fortnite, then I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah. I will admit openly here, I've never played Fortnite or Minecraft.
I think you would like Minecraft at least, because you like science and making stuff. So Fortnite is incredibly fun. I play on Java, Minecraft Java, and I have shaders called Sildurce shaders, which make the water look real, the clouds look real, the grass flows and blows in the wind like real grass. And then just the other day, I got this NAPP is this like texture pack you can get, and the carpet looks like carpet, and like the dirt looks like dirt, and the grass looks like grass. So it really looks like you're in like sort of a CG world, like a Pixar world, and it doesn't look like original Minecraft at all anymore. It is so fun. I just want to sit in there and stare at the sun all day and like look at the sunset, because it's beautiful. So it makes me want to be in there. But yeah, if the mechanics alone of Minecraft are addicting, and like playing the game and just making like one thing leads to another. Now I gotta build this house. Oh my gosh, now I'm gonna make a lawn, and now I'm gonna make a garden. Oh, and now I'm gonna make a basement, and I'm gonna dig a really long tunnel. I'm gonna turn it all into like red carpeted tunnel, and it's really fun to be down here. I feel like I'm in a fort. It's like addicting. It is so addicting. I went on this Fox quest the other night. I was streaming. I don't know if it was myself or if I was Dad, but I was streaming on one of the channels, and I played for like 12 hours on these really long live streams, so I just can't stop playing. And I'm like, I made a boat, and I was sailing. I was looking for other like foxes. I was trying to find another biome, and then my chat was like losing their minds, because like, you don't know how lucky you are. I was finding all these incredibly rare things, and they said I was experiencing a speed run like gold mine, because I found an old portal And then I found, which does really hard to find. And then I found a couple treasure chests. And then I found a village which has some animal that. Oh, then I found these cows with mushrooms on them that are really hard to find. It's a biome that no one ever really finds. I took the cows back with me in my boat, brought them back to my island. They bred with the other cows. Now it was baby mushroom cows. Anyway, it was like, it's so much fun because you really need to play. I could talk to you for hours about why you should play Minecraft. It's amazing. But also my main reason I play Fortnite is because it's fun to be in there, like the graphics, and I just love destroying kids. And I'm like, they don't know that some like dad, some bald guy who's doing a character named Dad is the one blowing them away. And it's really fun. So yeah.
Kevin, we got to get you in when the update drops, which I think the wisdom is saying that it's a couple months away. This summer, Isaac says, which I don't know. I guess that's a big range of months, isn't it? That's like May to August is summer.
Tom in the chat is saying, I should
have
Kevin on Dad Plays. You should play Minecraft with me for your first time on like a live stream with Dad.
Do it. Do it.
I will show you.
Awesome.
I mean, I've been playing for 3 years, but I still don't like remember all this stuff. I'm like, how do you make this? And everyone's like, you put this together with this. Like people have everything memorized in Minecraft. I can't remember anything. I don't remember. I use the wrong tools for everything. You don't know what blocks do what, but I'm in there all the time and I absolutely love it. So you should try it.
This has to happen. This crossover has to happen.
It has to happen. We'll do it.
Yeah. My big thing is that it's on the computer and I'm on the computer all day for work. I can't imagine then sitting on the computer and then playing games. I always have to get away from the computer. So
I totally understand.
You will take a day off. You will take a day off for this.
I'd have to take a day off.
So it's the only thing.
Yeah.
Yes. The only thing that you'll do that day on the computer. That's how it'll happen.
Imagine such a life. I have to take a day off to play Minecraft.
I know, right? It's, first of all, being a person who makes your own stuff, it's impossible to take a day off. You always say you want to. I end up taking an hour off and it's always at midnight till 1 a.m. and I fall asleep on the couch and that was my day off. Try to watch like a show or a movie. It's so hard to take time off. But I felt the same way as you. I didn't like playing games on PC at all. I still don't really. I'd rather play on a console with a controller on my couch. But I now, because of Minecraft, I started playing Minecraft because like all the kids were doing it and Dad does whatever is like cool and hip. So Dad plays anything his audience tells him to play. I learned how much I love Minecraft, and it's the only game I play with a keyboard and mouse. Otherwise, I play at my computer with an Xbox controller for like every other game, so it's like I'm playing on a console, and I try to be as comfortable as I can. But I have this PC that I'm like talking to you guys on right now, which is dedicated for like streaming and video games, and then I have my Mac next to me, which is I use for like editing and all my video stuff. But I do prefer console, and I don't want to sit at a desk when I've been editing all day to then do a live stream, but I make myself do it.
I have a super comfortable desk setup because I am here in the throne of the battle station all day, every day. But I still like, it feels like work when I'm in this chair. You know, it's not the same as just like laying down on a couch or a bed. And like all of a sudden you're in a completely different mindset and you can enjoy yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have like an office? You guys ever work like in an office to like make your stuff, or do you like have home offices?
We both have home offices. I was working out of an office for YouTube for a few years, and that was horrible.
Oh, you didn't like it?
No, I couldn't get any work done because it's just bright lights and there's people everywhere who want to talk to you.
Yeah.
It was a little open concept too, like that. Is this the office in New York?
Wait, was it at YouTube?
Yeah, like I was in that office.
Was it an office for your YouTube stuff, you mean?
No, it was at YouTube.
Oh, I see. That would be different. I am in a home office as well. I have this like whole bedroom that is used as the office. I film stuff and I edit in here and I stream in here. But I've always wanted to have I rent an office space and I go to it to get my work done. So then when I come home, anything I do at home, it forces me to not work,
Matt
which is hard to do.
A really long time.
Yeah, I used to have an office in town. For years I did that, and I
imagine it would be expensive. I think if I could save not doing that, but I've never had it. I want to have a studio I go to where I go there to film, and I could spend a late night. But like when I come home, it forces me to not do a stream or edit or anything. But I need to be told not to work.
I realized that distinction was a me problem. I could either have that physical distinction. So to put this in perspective, the office was like an 8-minute drive away. So, not a big deal. It wasn't even very expensive. Like I don't live in Manhattan, so, a little bit of office space is not crushing you on the bills. But yeah, I was like, you know what? I just need to understand that when I'm working, and when I'm not, I'm not. And it didn't take very long to just kind of snap out of that and separate it. So yeah, I believe to some degree, like that forced separation, it's almost like training wheels. And at a certain point I was like, I don't need training wheels. I am a big boy now who can ride the work bike. I just have to, I just have to be very clear in my own head about what I'm doing and when. And yeah, it did take a little bit to do that, but now it's a lot easier.
Yeah. Someday I think I'll do it. I just want the space to like film more studio stuff. Cause like right now I rent a studio in LA downtown where I go and film like the Main Dad series, and it costs so much money. Just even for the simplest videos. I'm like, I need to get my own space that I could build my own studio and shoot it and just pay my rent. But even that's expensive, especially in LA. Yeah. I'm not in LA now. I moved away for a year out of LA now, but I'm trying to see if I can find a place around here that's cheaper, just like an office space with a big enough room and I could use as a sort of studio. But
yeah, that's quiet enough that you can shoot in.
Yeah, that's quiet enough, and then I'm not bothering other people if I'm ever loud. But also, I think, I'm trying to save so much money right now. That's why I moved out of LA, because Corona, I'm not doing as much acting work, and I'm just sort of like relying on my own creation to live now. But I don't know if I could afford it, even just having an office space, because like right now it's like it's free at home. So
yeah,
but
and that's an important distinction. You talk about needing the square footage to shoot. Like you need studio space, and what I talked about was an office space. I didn't need any of the things that you need, that Kevin needs. That's really a different setup. And here in what I've got now, I'm not shooting anything. It's just not like that. I need a big desk, and I've got that. But that's about the extent of my requirements. When you're shooting, though, and you do need a proper studio space, you're worried about sound, then it's a different story. And I think doing it at home requires a pretty hefty sacrifice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I have two questions before we get to our patrons' questions for you. I have two more that I want to sneak in. One is, have you ever gotten badly injured from doing the physical comedy that you do? And then the second one is, have you ever had any trouble with cops from shooting in public and like doing the prank stuff?
Yes to both.
I figured.
I've mostly been lucky, pretty fortunate. For a really long time, I never got injured at all. And then one time I knocked my tooth out in a video called Surprised Brain Syndrome, where my character was having these great revelations. There was like information was disappearing in his head, like where Noah's Ark was and all these other crazy things. And he would then pass out because there was too much information. And it was just basically I needed a gimmick and a reason to do a montage of this guy passing out over and over. And one of the falls I did in a bowling alley, and I didn't catch myself right, because I let myself just hit the ground at the last second. I'll catch myself with my hands, so it looks kind of like I'm just hitting the ground. And I knocked my tooth out. So at the end half of the video where I'm saying all the things that I'm realizing, you can see I'm missing a tooth. So that was the one time. And then later, Keith Apicary was at the Screw Attack video game convention in Texas, and I wanted to surprise the audience where they're all looking at the stage, and I wanted to drop down from above and be like, to make an ultimate entrance. But I climbed up on this like ledge that was like 14 feet up, and it was too high. And then when I got up there, I was like, oh god, this is too high. I'm like, well, I still gotta do it. I'm here now. And I just jumped and I shattered my heel. And that was like the one bone other than my tooth that I broke. So yeah, and I got pretty lucky, because apparently when you jump from that height, you often shatter both your heels and part of your spine. But I just broke one, and it took me out of action for a long time. But yeah, so those are the times I got hurt.
Shattered one portion of my body.
Yeah.
How painful was that?
It was unbelievable. And then I did a whole hour-long performance with the broken foot, and I just hopped on one foot. And I knew something was incredibly wrong, but I couldn't leave because I wanted to do the show. So in character, I stayed in character as Keith, and I just took my shoe off at one point, and you could see how huge and black and blue my foot was. It was like demented looking. And everyone in the audience was like, because everyone knows, like, some people think Keith's real, some people don't know him in character, and some people know I'm just really committed. But then some people, you could see on their faces, like people were whispering to each other, and like turning to each other, like, is this a part of the bit? Like, what's happening? Like, is that really broken? Like, why is he here? So why is he not leaving? But I did the whole show on one foot, and it hurt really bad. And then I went to the hospital, and I got stuck in Texas for like a week because I had to take blood thinners so I could fly. Because if I had a blood clot, I could have a heart attack. It would stop my heart in the airplane from that altitude. So anyways, I had to like take blood thinner before I went home to LA. And then eventually I got surgery where they reassembled my foot. Oops. So yeah, that I hurt myself doing that.
Did the doctor say anything about, like, did you make it worse by doing the hour-long performance, or did it not matter at that point?
It didn't matter at that point because the swelling had to come down anyways. I mean, if I like banged it or bumped it, I could have broken a little bit more pieces, I guess. But I went to the doctor that night, and they didn't do anything besides like, give me pain medication. And I was in the hospital for a few days, and then I went back to the hospital. I went back to the hotel after a couple of days. And my girlfriend at the time flew in and hung out with me for a couple of days, and then she flew back with me. So it wasn't the worst thing. It kind of goes down in history as like lore of Keith and like how crazy Keith Apicary gets, and he just nothing can stop him. He'll still do a show with one foot. So whatever. Pain. Also, I was really pumped up, so the pain wasn't really killing me. And I often will get smashed my face in I actually one time as Keith, I did it multiple times in a video. One of the more recent Talking Classics, I think the episode was like Modern Games, I called it, or something. Oh no, I don't remember. It was one of the new Talking Classics episodes where I had to smash my face through a wall, and I had to build a wall. I built 4 walls so I could do 4 takes, where I took my face and just smashed it through a wall. And it never hurt, surprisingly. I don't know why, but it really didn't hurt. So I'm pretty good with pain, luckily. It's not really, I'm not trying to brag. It's just, I think I have no body sensors or something. So anyways, it comes in handy. And then I have definitely been in trouble with the police. As Keith as well, have been a few times. People just Trevor. I did some Trevor Phillips in real life because people say, "Okay, Trevor." So I like kind of leaned into it and made myself look more like Trevor, and would go and carry a real person wrapped in a trash bag or on my shoulder. I'd walk them around town, and I'd try to I try to stick him in different places to hide this dead body. And I keep asking people where I can hide this guy, and I stuck him in like freezers of grocery stores and stuck him through a McDonald's drive-through window. And one guy's like, "Put him in my trunk," and I put him in the trunk. And this is like this actor I found on Craigslist who's been in all kinds of my videos, using the Skittles videos. Like, people know him as Broob from the Skittles videos. Is this old guy who just laid on my shoulder and let me carry him around as Trevor. When I did that, the police came. That video right there, Tom just posted in the chat. I put him on a cop car in that video. And then the cops came over to me and were questioning us, but they weren't asking me about the guy on my shoulder. They were asking if we had film permits. And I was like, are you kidding me? I have a guy in a trash bag on my shoulder. I'm trying to get rid of him. And you're not talking to me about that? Like, this didn't care, or they didn't believe it. So then I started thinking, if someone wanted to kill someone and you just had a camera crew following you around, pretending you're filming, getting rid of the body, people would think it was not a real body. It's the perfect way to get rid of a person, is pretend you're filming it. And no one would question it, especially in LA. So maybe that was a real dead guy I was getting rid of. Who knows? But that day, at the end of that shoot day, the cops showed up because someone saw from a distance me sticking him in something and called the cops on me. Another time I got the cops called on me for doing Gal Senglelis, who's the action sequence pro, another one of my characters with this major comb over. He was like a Chuck Norris. I got the cops called on me twice in one day because I'm recording in the alleys of Santa Monica, and I'm yelling so loud people thought it was like a homeless person screaming or something. And then the ultimate time the cops came was when TSA grabbed me in Texas on the airport from going down into the baggage claim. And I just played dumb as Keith and acted like I didn't know what they were talking about. I just was in a rush to get my bag, and they were like, "Oh my God, this guy's crazy. Just get out of here." And then I did it again in LA because I wanted to go up into the ceiling of a baggage claim instead of going into one that goes down. I wanted to go up in the ceiling and roll out and I needed that shot, and I got the shot at LAX, and a janitor ran and told the cops, and the actual like Los Angeles Police Department showed up, and they zip tied me and sat me down, and they were going through my bag, and I just came back from PAX East, and it was the last shot I needed was him coming out of the airport, out of the ceiling of the baggage claim. And this is all after 9/11, and everything is super intense at airports. But I got the shot, and I broke my camera down and put it all away and put the tripod away. And then right when the cops came, they stopped me and they said, "Were you just up in there?" And I stayed in character because I'm better at getting out of situations when I stay as Keith. And I was talking like this, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I just wanted to go see what was up there. I saw the conveyor belt would lead me to like some weird place, like in Monsters Inc. when they were in the conveyor belts." And they were like, "What the heck?" So then they just started searching they zip tied me, sat me down, and they searched my bag. And they're pulling things out. They pulled out a Virtual Boy because I had that from things I was doing at PAX. And they were like, "What's this?" And I was like, "That's actually a Virtual Boy. It's the very first virtual reality device. It's actually way ahead of its time. People say it's a failure, but I think it's a success." And I just kept going on and on about video game facts. And they're like, "Okay, stop talking." And then they pulled out the Justifier gun, which is the Sega Genesis blue laser gun. And they're like, they like really didn't know what that was. And I'm thinking, in my head, I'm thinking, do you think this giant plastic blue thing is an actual gun with a cord connected to it? But they're like, "What's this?" And I was like, "That's the Justifier. That thing blows a Nintendo Light Zapper out of the water. That's next gen right there. Lethal Enforcers, baby." And I just kept going on and on about video game facts. And I was talking to them so much. Eventually they go, "Okay, just go away." And they unzip tied me and they let me leave. And they forgot about the whole footage I was shooting. But this is maybe too much information. When I saw that guy run away, the janitor who ran towards get the cops, I took the memory card and I put it between my butt cheeks to hide it, because I thought they might pat me down and find the memory card and then see the footage and then see what I did and then get rid of it. And I did not want to lose that shot. I needed that shot. I didn't want them to take the footage, because there's been many times where I've been yelled at by managers of stores for doing my dance videos, and the managers will always try to take my camera and they say, "Let me see that footage." And I always say no, and then I have to run out. I didn't want the cops to see the footage and then take the card for some reason. I was being crazy. I was being anal about it. No pun intended. But I only had the thing. It was just between my butt cheeks. It wasn't very deep. But I just knew they wouldn't feel it when they were patting me down. I didn't want them to feel it in a pocket or check my socks. I didn't want to hide it in my socks. So yeah, I hid it there and I kept it there until I drove all the way home, because I was like paranoid that they were following me. I got really paranoid that night, and I knew they weren't, but I was like, I'm just gonna like, I sat on the side of my butt cheek like a weirdo, and I took the memory card and uploaded the footage. And you can see the video now in an episode. I called it the Lost Talking Classics episode, because it was on Game Trailers, and I lost all the episodes. I didn't have them on YouTube. And then like a year or two ago, someone was like, "I actually have every Talking Classics downloaded." I was on a live stream, and the guy was like, I was talking about how I don't have some episodes, and the guy was like, "That's weird, because I have all of them. I downloaded them years ago." And I was like, "Oh my God, you're an angel." So he sent me all these episodes, and you can see, I think it's this one that Tom just posted in the chat, Talking Classics Lost PAX episode. I think that's it. In the very beginning is the shot of me rolling out of the baggage claim, and at the very end of the shot, you can see me walking off to break the camera down, because that janitor he goes, "Whoa, what are you doing?" And then he started running away, because he only saw me like coming out of the ceiling, so he didn't know who I was or where I came from. So anyway,
wait. So did you have to? Sorry, I want to get actually more detail here. Did you have to clench your butt cheeks to hold?
Yes, I
the
did.
Memory card?
I did. Yes, I did. For sure. Because it was an SD card. It wasn't like a small memory card.
That's what I'm saying. Like an SD card's not just going to sit there in the middle. You're going to have to kind of pinch it.
I was holding it. My boxers were helping, but it was slowly falling down every time I walked or moved. For sure.
Wait, yeah. And then were you scared you were going to smash it as you were sitting on it on the drive home?
No, because I was sitting on my side butt cheek the whole time. So it wasn't like directly sitting on it. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
God, did you make your leg fall asleep?
No, well, I often will sit like that, because when I drive, sometimes it hurts my hips. So I often shift in that position anyways. I do it on road trips all the time. I'll sit super to the right side, where I'm almost like laying on my side where I'm sitting, and I sit in some weird positions when I drive, so it wasn't that weird. But yeah, I held that thing in there the whole way home. Luckily, it was only a 20-minute drive.
We're not done on this at all. So did you make any effort to clean this once you took it out of your ass?
I did, actually. I wiped it. I did wipe it off with a wet paper towel.
They're pretty sensitive. Like, yeah, that's my question. It's like SD cards are, fairly sensitive. Like, how hard can you clean a thing like that?
It wasn't cleaned very well, but over the years of, using it, I guess all the poop particles vaporized or went away.
If there's ever like a black light of your whole office area, just this SD card is going to light up. Everything else is going to be fine.
I still have it.
It's just going to glow.
It's going to glow.
I still have that card and use it to this day from 2012.
Oh,
I think I got that card.
Oh my gosh.
There you go.
Did you ever smell it?
I did not smell it.
I don't believe you.
I promise you I didn't. I also never, I didn't really, at the time, I wasn't even thinking that it was gross until I started telling the story. I was like, oh, I guess that's kind of weird. But it was just logical to me to just put it there to where will they not find this?
Right.
You're like a nerd version of a drug mule.
Yeah, basically. I'm hiding footage for a video game documentary.
Yeah, a YouTube mule.
Yeah. Yeah.
YouTube cartel.
Yeah, basically.
Smuggling it.
Yeah, no, so it was a bummer when I lost that episode. I was like, wow, all that effort, and now no one can even watch it because Game Trailer is removed. And I kept meaning, because you used to be able to download videos from Game Trailers, and all my old hard drives are gone. And I was like, oh yeah, I gotta start downloading these episodes, and then they removed it all, and I wasn't able to do it.
Well, shout out to the person for saving them all. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think I thank him. I thank him at the top of that episode of the Lost Talking PAX episode.
Gosh.
So.
Well, I must say that I'm really glad I snuck in those questions before we got to our patrons' questions. That paid off.
I'll go to any length. I climbed the convention center as Keith in San Diego and got arrested for that one. So I'll do literally, and I almost lit myself on fire that day for another bit that we never got to. So I'll do literally anything if it's funny.
Oh,
man. Well, we do have some questions from our patrons before we let you get out of here.
All right.
Just hold those cheeks a little longer.
Okay.
Keep clenching.
I will.
Yep. And we will, most of them are fairly short,
cool.
But we will blast through these. So Trev in the chat, Trev has a question that you touched on a bit, but there's not a clear answer so far, and I think we need one. And it's, how difficult is it to separate yourself from these characters? Because clearly you can choose to stay in if you need to. But at what point do they stop and you begin?
It's pretty easy now because I've been doing it for so long and I do so many different ones. There are sometimes I was doing a show with the Upright Citizens Brigade where I was switching characters and I came out and did the wrong voice for the character. I came out as Ray Amsley and I was still doing Keith's voice. And then the audience was staring at me and the jokes weren't landing. I was like, what? And then I realized, I was like, oh my God, I'm doing the wrong voice. So that was one time I got confused as to who I was at the moment. Because I was changing characters so fast. But in my normal life, I'm fine with, I don't think I really get, that deep into the character. Although there are times where I'll say things to a friend or someone I'm talking to regularly, and I'll think I'm Dad for a second because it's mostly my regular voice. I just talk lighter. Hi, how are you? And I speak kind of more robotic in a way and most ASMR-y, I guess. And there's times where I'll be like, whoa, this looks awesome. And I'll be just staring at something that I genuinely think is cool. And something will come out of my mouth and I'll say something that sounds like Dad. And that's when I'm like, oh gosh, wait, what? And I'm like, why is Dad coming out? But for the most part, I can separate and I'm not I don't know. I've been doing it too long. But who knows who I really am? Who knows if I'm the character that Keith Apicary is playing? You never know.
It's always possible.
You never know.
This is a throwback. No. No, you don't. And this is a throwback from Tom Videoger. He wants to know any especially fond memories from the Screw Attack days.
Oh yeah, every memory. Everything I ever did with Screw Attack was super fun and super intense and over the top because it was just like that was like the beginning of Keith Apicary, and I was just going crazy. I was just so pumped to be like Keith is just a major ball of energy and just doesn't have logic, and he just kind of does what he sees in video games. So every E3 I got into was because of Screw Attack and the Screw Attack video game conventions. The first SGC, the second SGC, those were super fun. The third one, I think, was the one where I broke my foot. Still fun though. So yeah, every moment I ever had with SGC was awesome. So because it was just like so many like pumped people, cool. Young people who liked video games that would just like Keith could like sort of rally people and like get everyone to run around naked and climb on the roof and then run through the kitchen of the hotel, and it was just. We were staying up so late one of the first nights of at the first SGC, the Screw Attack convention, and we were having competitions where we're just like jumping over like tables and seeing how high we could dive and jump over like tables with pillows, and we're taking water and putting them on all these long tables and belly sliding across all these tables, and it was late night mayhem in the hotel that the hotel just didn't stop us. And I was climbing the ceiling, I was like up in the rafters. It was amazing. People were pushing a piano through the hotel, and I was standing on it dancing in my underwear and getting the whole hotel to chant things, and it was like unbelievable. It was unbelievable. It was so much fun. So Screw Attack was the best.
Well, this one is from Birthday Boy Jeff. And I think you have to say yes because it's his birthday. The question is, will there ever be another Getting Gymnasty?
There will be, yes. Gymnasty was a series of people
really?
Don't know. Yeah, there'll definitely be more. I kind of feel like I did the idea to death, and I don't know what else I could do, but I do have one idea. Gymnasty, I would go into gymnast studios or where people were doing gymnastics, and I would just go in wearing jeans and a Camaro tank top and smash my body in front of gymnasts with an ego, and I acted like I was doing all these things on purpose, and I knew what I was doing, and I was just killing myself in front of people publicly. That's what gymnasty is, and I did a bunch of them, and then I was like, I don't know what else I can do with this, and then I did one with this girl that I was dating at the time, and she was an actual gymnast. So I was like, oh, let's do a video where, like you play this character that I'm like, you're doing real gymnastics, and my character starts to like kind of like have a crush on you or whatever. And like that episode 4 was that, and I was like, okay, I got some new life to the episode. There was like a narrative now. There was like a duo, and there was like a reason to do different bits, because otherwise it was just me hurting myself on the same equipment the same way. I needed like something else. So she added a different element to it, which was fun. And then I don't know if I did then I did a 5th one where I went to a place in San Francisco where the gym was like, oh, can you come up here and like use our gym? And I thought of some more bits when I was there. Basically I have to go there for the whole day and just think of bits. And I did one in the 5th episode that I was very happy with, where I like went flying through a shot. That's it. The 2020 Olympics audition. So I came up with another angle where he's going to audition for the Olympics. This is his audition tape, and that's how I can keep this bit going. I dove through a shot out a door, and I almost literally inches from flying down a staircase on the outside where you don't see me go. I had to like grab a rail as I landed on the ground and do a somersault so I didn't fly down this staircase and like get messed up because I was going so fast out the shot. So that was like, okay, I was like, I don't know what else I can do. But then that same gymnastics studio in San Francisco, oh wait, I don't know if that is the one. Is the 2020 Olympics the episode? I don't know if it is. Maybe it is. I can't remember. I'm forgetting. I've done too many episodes. But this is my long answer. Sorry. I think I can do another episode because the whole plan is to prank a veteran gymnast coach who was like a Russian guy who trained like all these like Olympic athletes in the 80s. And then the gymnastics studio would tell him, hey, can you train this guy a little bit for, a couple hours and give him the basics? And I would just destroy myself in front of him and just like do more verbal bits with him, get some like more like commentary, like me saying things to him and sort of just pranking him in general, doing more of like an Ali G type thing with that guy. That would be my angle of the next one. Whenever Corona dies down, I'll do that. But I have like a whole idea for a television show I want to pitch to some places for this character, and it's kind of like a Foot Fist Way Kenny Powers type show. Or I am a landscaper who gets into gymnastics because he cuts the grass at the gymnastics studio and he sees this trainer, this like woman who's a gymnast trainer instructor, go in every day, and he's like in love with her, and he always says he's going to go talk to her. And one day he goes in to ask her out, he chickens out, and then she's like, did you want to sign up for classes? And he's like, oh yeah, and he signs up for gymnastics classes, and now he's going through these classes waiting for the moment where he can ask her out, and he ends up going through this whole like training, and he keeps hurting himself, and then he gets jealous of these other guys who are like legit, and he ends up distancing himself from her because his ego's in the way, and he's trying to like look cool in front of these guys so that she'll like him, when really she kind of just likes him and she doesn't care what the gymnastics guy is. So it's a whole show. So anyways, I think I could blow the show up, the videos up into some sort of a narrative story, but still use elements of like real life prank footage of me hurting myself in the studios. So it's like a hybrid show of like cinematic storytelling with prank footage of me hurting myself to pay homage to the original videos. That's kind of my idea. So maybe that'll happen someday.
That was amazing.
We'll see.
This is such a good idea. I love that the idea that's just like, kind of like in the back burner, like whatever, is amazing. Like the one that's low on the list and not a priority is incredible.
Yeah, like idea 7 is hilarious.
There's too many. Every video I've ever shot, I have a TV idea for it. Every character I've ever done has a movie and a television show idea that I think would be good, but you never know. And then it's too many people trying to do the same thing as you. So someday we'll see. We'll see.
Well, we're going to switch gears a tiny little bit from creator to viewer. Dan the Latch has a question about your YouTube habits. How much do you watch at this point, and who are your favorite creators on the platform?
What do I watch sort of regularly? I don't watch a lot because I'm doing so much on my own. Like I'm constantly just uploading or editing and making my own stuff and then live streaming. So I don't really get a chance to watch too much. I'm trying to think right now.
What about in the past?
Who do I like? I liked Remy Gallard a lot. He's still doing some stuff, I guess. He was a French guy who did like crazy pranks. And I'm not necessarily like a prank guy. It's just one of the many things I do. I don't want to be like a prank person or anything, but Remy Gallard just came to mind. He's really funny. He's done some pretty crazy stuff. He's been around forever. I'm trying to think who else I like or I used to like. James Rolfe, obviously, Angry Video Game Nerd. Been friends with him, done some stuff with him. All the Vsauce channels, big fan. I learn a lot from them, and it changes my way of thinking a lot of the time. So Vsauce, gotta say them. I don't really know. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of. Oh, there's this new channel, I will say, Olee, Olee, that I think is very interesting. I think everybody should check out. I think everyone.
What does Olee do?
This out. Olee, I won't say that I'm a part of it, but Olee to me is some sort of an experiment. I don't know what's going on. It's OLLE. There it is. Dan just posted it. It's just started.
It doesn't look like
that's not me at all. I'm not in this. This is not. I won't say my association with this project, but Olee is very interesting, and that's something I think is I've been keeping my eye on. So, yeah.
As always, we'll put that link in the show description as well. Cool. So we'll put all of Nathan's stuff in there, but we'll throw Olee in too.
Awesome.
Speaking of traditional creators on the platform, James has an announcement for you. He wants to make you aware that 3 guys who appear to be Michael Reeves, William Osman, and iDubbbz created an abusive robot stepdad, and he wanted you to know that they've copied you.
Wait, what? What is it called?
It's called Abusive Robot Stepdad.
Oh my God, my character is a robot nice dad. He's the wholesome dad. Abusive robot stepdad. Oh my gosh, Dadbot is going to destroy this thing. iDubbbz.
It's going to be a lawsuit at some point, isn't
it? Well, Dadbot will destroy this thing easily with his quantum sledgehammer. I don't think that robot has a quantum sledge, so I got nothing to worry about.
Probably not. I think it just has insults programmed into it.
Oh, I see. Well, I will destroy him with compliments and wholesomeness.
Well, we got a couple shorties here, and then a good one to end on. Isaac has two real good ones here. One of them we touched on. What's the fastest you've gotten kicked out of a public place while filming?
It's happened within some. I've done a lot of dance videos, and I go into stores a lot for them, and I've been kicked out within seconds of some where like I walk through the door and they see the camera and they go nope, and they just force me to turn around, and then I'll have to like go back later because I need to like get as many as I can, and I'm like running out of options of stores to go into. So I'll go back later with the camera in a backpack, and then I set it up somewhere in the corner, and then I just drop it down. But then a lot of times when I get the camera on the ground, they notice and they're already following me to when they see me walk in. So I'll get a couple seconds. And a lot of the videos where I'm dancing, there's no audio because I'm playing the music. I'm talking with my mouth closed and I'm saying, almost done. And I'm trying to talk to the security person that's right next to me or to the side behind the camera who's saying, stop dancing. And I keep saying, hang on a second, hang on. Because I just need at least 10 seconds of footage. And then I just grab the camera and I walk out. And then I use that 10 seconds with all the other 10 seconds of stores I've got and put it together. So a lot of the times there's a security person behind the camera yelling at me as I'm dancing, and I'm just ignoring them getting my shot. So I don't spend a lot of time in stores. So then there's been sometimes where I'm in there for like a half an hour and I'm like, all right, no one's saying it to me. I may as well keep going. So
it's like riding a bull where you've got to stay on for 8 seconds. Yeah,
basically. That's all I need.
Before you get bucked off.
Yeah. I need one measure. I need one beat of the song.
Another logistics kind of thing here. This is Isaac's follow-up. How far ahead do you plan the secret messages, the totally not ARG things for Dad?
Some of them I have thought out like weeks in advance, and then some I figure out as I'm editing, because I just know the message I need to put in, but I don't know how I'm going to do it. Like one of the most recent ones, the episode I just put up the other day, I recorded audio of myself saying something in character, and then I reversed it, and then I chopped it up into like 12 pieces, and I scrambled the pieces. So I think I was watching the people solve it in the theory chat of my Discord, like the people who find these things, they were trying to piece it together. And for a while I was like, how are they not realizing that it's not in that order? I think they thought it was just reversed, and they were trying to put it together reversed. They didn't realize that all 12 pieces were scrambled. So they took each piece of the audio and put it in kept like, Rubik's cubing it around. They would eventually get, after you reverse them all, put them in regular time, you would eventually hear the sentence. I don't know. I still have to check in on them and see how they've done. But yeah, that one I thought of like the day before. I was like, oh, I should do that for that one. But so it's kind of different. I don't like to do this. I've done a lot of binary, and binary is kind of cliche, but I try to do different things now and figure out different ways to hide stuff to keep them on their toes. But even reverse audio is kind of like
process
typical too. I've done many different ones, and some of them have proven too hard. So then I do more basic ones, like the Morse code is like, I don't want them to not find out, so I don't want it to be too obscure. So Morse code is like a good one, but a lot of times I'll do this where I'll hide individual Morse code. I'll do like a 0 and a 1 in random places of the screen, and then they have to like assemble it all, so it makes it a little bit less cliche and a little more difficult. So yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, no, it's just such an interesting facet of the series. Like that's
it's also
you describing it. It's just very.
It's cool. Also like a full-time job, to be honest with you. Coming up with the codes and the secrets and then putting them in is a whole other editing process I have to do. So like not only after I finish the video and color correct it and make the music and do the voiceover, I then have to do the secret. And I'm like, oh gosh, I forgot about the secret. And that takes me like another like 6 hours. So it's like, and I have to make sure I did it right and that they're seeing it. And I have to keep my eyes on if they're figuring it out, because if they don't, then I have to do another secret to help them. It's like, I'm adding so much work to what I do, but it makes it more fun, I guess. So it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. It definitely definitely makes it unique for the people who are following along. Like, they love that aspect of it.
So now I feel like I can't stop. I'm sort of like locked into it. I was gonna do for some episodes I like stop, but then it's cool for me because then they keep looking and I get more views because they're like, where is it? But those are the times where I'm kind of like, I just can't do one. I can't do it right now. I'm too tired. So yeah.
Well, 11Z's has the penultimate question here. You've talked about so many different things. Out of all of it, what is your favorite thing that you've created?
I'd say Neutral, my short film, for sure. Because ultimately, I just want to act. I have a lot of ideas and I'm kind of scatterbrained and I do a lot of different things. But I just really, my passion is acting and just performing. And acting is something that's got physical comedy and it would be a bonus. So something I can like throw myself around or do some weird physical bits would be the best, most fun thing for me. So just being in something, playing a character is really all I want to do. Just delivering lines and becoming someone else is what I want. So, but in order to do that one thing, I have to do a million other things. So until the day where I can just show up on a set and be funny.
Show up and be the character.
Yeah, that's what I would love. To do what Jim Carrey has done is what I would love to do in my own way. But I have to do it myself until then. So yeah, Neutral. I'd say Neutral is my favorite project so far. And hopefully that'll be a full feature film. And then once Corona's over, I'll start raising the money and try to get the whole thing done.
Real quick, I have one last question for you, but actually it's two because I just thought of another one. In Neutral, you get dragged behind a car. How does that stunt work? Do you have to wear some kind of like metal sheet in your shirt to get dragged behind a car so it doesn't tear away your skin? How does that work?
Yeah, so when I did it 2 times. One time I did it for real with no plate or anything. And I basically just kept my toes, the main contact on the ground. And I knew that I'd only have 30 seconds where the road would start ripping through the shoes and into my toes. So we did that once so we could have like a real clean shot of me actually dragging behind the car. And I've done this bit in some videos and stuff before, so knowing how it rips through your clothes so fast. So I was like, all right, I got a whole other outfit I wore for that and a different pair of shoes. And I did it until I could feel the ground ripping into my toes. And I had yelled to my brother, stop, because he was the one driving the car. And then we did it again where my stunt coordinator friend was there helping out. And he had a plastic plate that was like thick square. It's like a size of like a dinner plate, but maybe a little smaller, like a napkin opened up. And we put that like sort of at like my, groin hips area. And I just sort of like covered it with my body and I was like laying on it and I had to like keep my body in the right position where it didn't look, I wasn't super arched so that you could see it. I had to be like low to the ground and just not let my clothes rip. But my shirt did drag a little bit and I still ripped the shirt a little, but that's how we got the longer one. And we just tied that to the bumper and my arm blocked the cable as I was holding onto the bumper. So we got a longer drag that way. But it still ripped my clothes a little bit.
But you were just hanging on to the bumper both times?
Yeah, I was just hanging on to the bumper both times.
Okay.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Chinchilla has an add-on question here. Is being a stuntman a possibility at any point?
I would say I already am because I get hired to do stunts in projects. A lot of times in the commercials I do or whatever show I'm on. Kirby Buckets was a Disney show I was on for a long time. For like 3 years, and in that, like my friend who was the showrunner, like producer of the show and writer, he is friends with me. He knows what I do. So like when I went auditioned, they knew like I could add some physicality to this character. So I get hired for things where I'll do my own stunts every time. They don't get a stuntman for me. So like I'm already technically a stuntman that's done professional work just because people have seen me do it in videos and they know I can handle it. There was actually a show I was on recently, Stumptown is the name of the show, and I was just like a guest star. I had like one part and one episode, and I was supposed to be like a drunk telegram guy that shows up and he does a drunk telegram, but he actually was drunk. Was the character like really was drunk, and the people who hired him weren't sure if he was really drunk. And I thought I'm supposed to be on a table yelling at everyone, giving this and singing the song to this woman. They hired me to sing to Happy Birthday. I was like, well, if this guy's drunk and he's sitting at a table, he'd probably fall off. So I was thinking, I'm just going to fall off the table and not tell them that I'm going to fall, because so a lot of times on a show, I'll propose an idea, and if it's not in the script. They don't really want to do it because they're on a time crunch. They need to get their shots, they need to get the day done, and they need to get out. And also they don't want some actor who says, hey, I can do stunts, to do a stunt, because they're not going to believe me. So I just did it. And then they were like, oh my God. They like lost their minds. I fell backwards off this table and slammed into the ground. And it was like a really good fall. And they were like, oh my God, are you okay? And I was like, no, I did it on purpose. I'm a stunt man. And then after they saw it, the director liked it so much, they let me keep doing it. And I did one take without it, and it got in the show. But I'd know if I had proposed it, they would have said, no, we don't need it. Let's just move on. But I wanted it for myself, so I could have one more thing to add to my reel. And then I knew it would work. But anyways, so I just do it legitimately now. After just, if you throw yourself around enough, you get good at it, and then you become professional, I guess. So
it's one of those little professional secrets. Whether you're an actor or almost doing anything, sometimes you just have to do the thing and then apologize later.
Exactly. My whole life is that.
Yep.
That's why I literally my whole life.
That's the name of your autobiography.
Yep.
Nathan Barnatt.
Steal it and ask for forgiveness later.
Do it and ask and apologize later.
I climb buildings. I steal shots. I dance in stores. I just know in the end they'll be happier when they see it than when they were upset when I was doing it. And I was thinking my dance videos make more people happy than the one guy it made upset. But I'm also giving that security guy something to do for the day instead of standing around. So there you go. Keep him on his toes.
Well, we've got a good one from Tom, and then I hand over to Kevin here. With creators like Nightmind, Film Theory, etc., making summaries of your dad's series, and then you reincorporating them into your story, what's that process like, mashing the worlds together into the story that you're developing and telling?
Well, that was actually a pretty fun thing for me. When all these channels started investigating Dad, it was exactly what I wanted. So I looked up these channels and I found these. When I first started Dad, I was like, how am I going to promote this channel? How am I going to get people to like look at this other than my Nathan audience? And I only got like 5,000 people from my 400,000 subscribers to go and subscribe to Dad. No one really cared. So I was like, well, I got 5,000 people. I need more people watching these videos. So I found these channels that were investigating mysteries, and I sent emails to them, and they all just said nothing. And I would send them DMs with like, you can like copy invisible text, and you can send messages that don't exist. So they got emails that had nothing in the subject, and it just said blank email with nothing in the subject or the title. And it was just like, and it just said from Dad's. It was Dad's email. So then they would be like, what the heck is this? And they looked up this Dad guy on YouTube, and it was my way of probing them and being like, hey, look at me in some unique way. And then Inside of Mind was the first one to investigate me, then Nightmind, and then Nexpo, and now like a bunch, and then Matt Pat just did it for Film Theory. So I sort of like got their attention. And then I was thinking, all right, they're all saying these things about Dad being like mind controlled and his wife built him as a robot, blah, blah, blah. How would he feel about this? I need to keep the bit going here. And like, this is my weird way of collabing with these people. I can't just be like, cool, thanks for the audience, and then keep making videos. They have their audience is now watching. So I need to make something about them to keep their audience interested, because they might not really care about Dad. They might lose interest in a couple weeks. But if I talk about the person that they do watch, Nightmind, or if I talk about Inside of Mind or Matt Pat, what would Dad say about them? So then I basically took their format of investigating, where Dad's like, oh yeah, you're going to investigate me? I'm going to investigate you. And I'm going to tell you all the things you were wrong about. So Dad says how they're all lying, and they're all part of a cult, and they're all part of the dark party. And they're all like lying to their audiences. Everything is fine here. Everything's fine in Town USA. Dad loves Mom. Mom loves Dad. So basically, it's like a guy trying to brainwash their audience into thinking that their favorite person was lying about me. And it gets this whole battle going back and forth, where now they're like, the audience is engaged for this feud, because they want to be like, oh, whose side do I pick? And I've converted so many people who would be like, I trust you, Dad, because they're going on with a bit. They're like, Dad, I love you. Dad would never lie to me. Dad loves me. Nightmind lied to me. How could he do that? So I'm like, yes, I'm getting their audience. So then I did it with Matt Pat, and he went along with it, where I basically fooded him. I was like, hey, so you settle this stuff, I'm going to respond and say you're lying. And then at the end, he gets a can of food, which brainwashes him. And I asked him if I could get some shots of him, and he was like down for it. So now Matt's like in the story, Nightmind's in the story. I've pulled them all into the story just for a way to collaborate with them, and not just have it end after their video. And the last thing I'll say about it is my favorite part of this was all this existed in my investigation videos, which weren't necessarily a part of the main story, which were the more cinematic looking videos of Dad in the studio and out in outside locations in LA where I was filming. I'm like, I need to connect the reality investigate, because I'm doing many things on the channel. I'm doing YouTube-y type stuff where I'm like investigating, sitting at a desk, talking to a camera. And then I have the narrative stuff that's filmed of Dad. I need to combine these two things because I always say every video is just as important. And a lot of the hardcore Dad audience won't watch those videos because they don't care. They think it's just like clickbait stuff. But I keep telling them there's stuff in there you're going to want to see, and there's like codes and there's weird stuff that's going to tell them things. So my way of getting everyone to watch everything was I took things I was saying in the reality where I was saying they were all in a cult called the Dark Party, and I started adding it into the storyline videos, where in the story videos I was like, oh man, Nexpo investigated me again. Why did he do that? And they're like, wait, he's talking about reality. So then they go and watch the reality videos, because I'm just trying to keep everyone watching everything because it all is part of the story. And then eventually at the end of Act 3, which just came out recently, I put Nexpo and Jamie who's inside of Mind, these two YouTubers who were the original ones to investigate me. I put them in the story by having people, my brother and my friend were under cloaks, and they were in a cemetery talking to this goth character in the story about the cult they're in called the Dark Party, and she's trying to get in it. And I had Nexpo doing the voice and Inside of Mind doing the voice. So now that they're canon, and so is Pat, and so is Nightmind. Nightmind helped the Dadbot escape, and you can see his name in all these wanted posters at the top of the finale video. So it was pretty cool for me to be like, my way of thanking them basically of like, thank you for giving me this audience and investigating me, but now my way of thanking you is to like sort of say you're in a cult, but you're now part of the story. Sorry. So that's my long answer about that. It actually gave me more, them investigating me gave me more creative outlets, I guess. More things I can make. So yeah.
I'm glad that you asked that question, because it just shows the intricacies of like weaving this web of Dad that for people unfamiliar with this channel, it's hard to explain concisely. Yeah. And that's why you said we could spend so many episodes just dissecting it.
Yeah, it's
very unique too.
It's like the biggest thing I've ever done. And like I know some people might be like it's too big and kind of frustrating and it's too long, but if you just watched it from the beginning and sort of just didn't think too much, it's not that complicated. I always say Dad is simple because it is pretty much simple. You just watch the story for what it is, and you don't need to really look at the codes or anything. You just need to watch, and it's pretty simple. It's just that there's a lot of videos now, so it helps to watch from Act 1, and then there's other videos in between, because the whole point of Dad is that he's the best. He wants to be the best YouTuber. But if he was only making the story videos about him in his house with his family, talking about being a YouTuber and not actually uploading YouTube style videos to the channel, it wouldn't make sense. So that's why I have him doing reality where he's investigating people, and that's why he's doing unboxing videos and he's doing ASMR videos. He's doing all these other random things. And he has a gaming channel now, because that makes it legitimate and makes him actually a YouTuber. But it's not the main story, but it all connects. Anyways, it's just it's a lot. It's a lot. People who are listening to this and aren't in the Discord watching are probably like, and not seeing the chat, are just like probably so out of it. Anyway,
it's true. Well, we have one last question, and that's something that we'd like to ask a lot of our guests, because this podcast is first and foremost about creativity and the creative guests that we have on it. And that's to throw to you to give us a sponsor. So basically we need a sponsor for this episode, and it can be anything you want. It can be a real product. It could be a made up product or service or website or whatever. And anyone, since we're talking to you, can read it. It could be Keith, it could be Dad, it could be Trale Lewous. It's really like whatever you want to do. You know, it's a blank canvas, but that it is now time for you to give us this podcast's sponsor.
I feel like what would be suiting to mention is the actual hardware store known as True Value Hardware that Dad is obsessed with, since he's a dad and he loves going to the hardware store. He's obsessed with True Value, and a lot of people who watch the series didn't know it was even a real place, and it is. It's a very small independent hardware store that exists in America, and if you have one near you, try to support a small independent business. Don't go to Home Depot or Lowe's. Go to True Value. The company has been very cool with me mentioning them all the time, and they like retweet things. But it's basically, I made a song about it. There's music videos, and I'm always putting myself on top of their buildings and messing around with them. And they've been very cool with it, with this very strange world being obsessed. There's all these teens. There's like 20-year-old girls dancing in front of True Value, and they have probably never even been into a hardware store. So it's like, in a way, making True Value cool, but I don't know how much money it's making them. But if you're gonna buy something, try a True Value, because they're pretty cool for going along with the bit.
Well, I'm not going to let you off the hook with that, because you mentioned the brand, but I'd love for you to act as if you were doing an ad read for them for this episode.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll do it in character then. Let's see here. Hi, it's me, Dadbot A7M2, your normal average human man. When I'm needing a tool to get the job done just right, I go to my local True Value, where they have everything I need at the price I can afford. Plus, that's where everyone... Hi, I am everything is fine, and you should go to True Value. No one is controlling me or telling me to say these things. Nothing is behind the back door. There you go. That's my real strange ad for True Value.
Dude, that was hard. It was hard not to ruin that with my laughter.
Yeah.
I was concentrating. I was like going into a Zen moment just to try not to interrupt that at all. That was excellent.
I was like, should I just do a straight ad, or should I just make it weird? And Dad's weird. And he's always shutting down. He's always having problems. So he almost said too much, but the server reeled him back and kept him in line.
Yeah. Well, that was perfect. That was exactly what I hoped for and more. Nathan, this was awesome and a long time coming. It's so great to finally talk with you.
Yeah, likewise. Man. Thanks for knowing I existed, and I'm glad that we became internet pals. And thanks for all the help with the videos you've given me.
Yes, we are internet pals, and you should be internet pals with Nathan as well. Check out Dad. Check out the OG channel, Nathan Barnatt, and you are gonna have a lot of viewing to catch up on if you haven't checked out his videos before. There's 1,000,000,001 series that are all good. And it was great seeing the chat kind of call out what their different favorite series were. And it seems like everybody, when I first saw Trale Lewous doing the Skittles commercials back in like 2008 or whatever, I was like, this is my type of humor. I love this guy. Yeah. This is so exactly what I think is funny. Garbling up the English language and just being so aloof. I just thought it was so great. So yeah, go check out Nathan. And he's got a Patreon. We've got a Patreon. Go to Patreon, support creators, support him, support the Create Unknown. If you want to join us, we're here every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, live on Discord. Join our Discord. If you're a Discord person and you like the Discord thing, we got a Discord for you. So check out the Create Unknown Discord, and we got links to all of Nathan's projects. Watch Neutral, his short film, and until next time, we will see you, Space Cowboys.
Thanks for listening to The Create Unknown. We'd like to extend a huge thank you and congratulations to the Tots and Dumpster crew who save tiny little lives every month. A tremendous shout out to our elite baby gang: Trevstad, Boromir, Bot Dogs, Chinchilla, Isaac, Conrad, James, Jeff Davis, Patrick Pister, Baseweight, and Dojangles. And thank you to our grizzled, battle-hardened child infantry: Jen Meffisanti, Kevin Menard, Mikhail Steinke, Risebread, Sean Malone, Monahan, Ryan Kinder, Sheep, and Maruko. Thank you as well to our producer and editor Ben Webster, and to our media manager Dan Yosua. The Create Unknown is an Unknown Media production.